There we go. Hello, hello, hello. Welcome back to the channel. I'm Captain Quasar, and welcome back to another live stream. We've got some interesting things to talk about today. Two topics, three topics. One isn't in the title, but we're going to do that one kind of in the middle. But first, I just showed an image, so I have to get the poll started so everybody can see what the poll is for today, so that makes sense. We do have a pretty fun poll for today because we are talking about Obama, the former president. Has finally broken his silence about Trump and certain ways that he feels about the current presidency. So we're going to check that out towards the end of the stream. But first we are going to do this poll. Which is the best president? And I have picked out some good presidents for us. I had to only pick the best, you know. So we have first, which is the best president? Is it President Camacho from Idiocracy? His full name is Dwayne Elizondo Mountain Dew Herbert Camacho. Played by the Terry Crews. Definitely a high-level president, I must say. Or is it Lisa Simpson from that episode of The Simpsons where they show in the future she becomes president? I think if we're speaking technically in the terms of the episode, I think that Lisa Simpson will be our next president. I'm just saying, wait and see. Is it Lisa Simpson? Is it President Camacho? Is it President Lindbergh from The Fifth Element? Had to throw in a little bit of a curveball in there as well, you know. I really just like, what's his name? I know him as it's Lister, Tiny Lister. What's his name? Tommy. I was gonna say Terry. Tommy Lister Jr. Debo, also known as President Lindbergh from The Fifth Element. Or, finally, Richard Nixon, the President of Earth from Futurama. I am not a crook. So we have President Camacho, President Lisa Simpson, President Lindbergh, and President Richard Nixon from Futurama. Gotta specify. But that is the poll. Let me get that started up for everybody. Which is the best president? Start that poll up. I think, I don't know, would Lisa Simpson be a good policymaker? She's a little selfish at times, I have to say. None of them would be particularly good. You'd assume Lisa would be good, but if we look back on her childhood self, there's some things there we might question. But she's coming. She's coming as our next president, the next president of the United States. Bad poll? You're a bad poll. I'm sorry. Something came over me there. What do we think of this? A blurst trip. This was on r/blurst images. Bros at the Kaaba taking some tabs. Just taking a couple tabs at the Kaaba, you know. I'm trying to meet God. What are you guys doing? Lisa, first female president. Lisa is actually the first straight female president, I think, is the way they classify it. Lisa Simpson, president. It was just on a thing I read. I didn't remember the episode, and I looked it up quickly, and it said first straight female president, and I was like, oh yeah, here it is. Meanwhile, 38-year-old Lisa becomes the first straight female president of the United States and moves into the White House. Okay, there you go. I'm officially rebranding my channel today. I talked to some snarkers and they made some great points, so my channel is going to look a lot different soon. Hey. It's a good point, Alex. Now it's Alex the Truth Seeker. No more, oh, Alex the Friction. I just noticed that you're getting too good at these. Alex the Friction's a good one. That's a perfect name. Actually got me with that one. But yes, take some tabs, go to the Kaaba. It's the only thing you can do. I have a question for everybody. How do we feel about this? So this was posted on r/choosingbeggars. Choosing Beggars is one of my favorite subreddits. For those who don't get it, it's the beggars can't be choosers. So this is a subreddit of beggars who are choosing. They're choosing beggars. And this one is about someone wanting help buying a Valentine's Day dinner. They said, I was unable to celebrate Valentine's Day this year with my wife due to we just welcomed our first child and money is tight. Could someone please help me with the following grocery list to surprise my wife when she gets home from work? Anything will help. Please inbox me if you can assist. No rude comments are necessary. So no rude comments, guys. We have to just be real here. What is this? Lobster? So first thing, I think these are lobster tails. Ready to cook 2 lobster tails for $20. You know, at least he got something on sale. It's on sale here. That's good. $40 worth of a New York strip steak. Choice Angus beef. Okay. You know, at least he's being reasonable in this Valentine's Day dinner. You know, I need some help. Already $60 and we don't even have it seasoned. This was my favorite part. The specific flowers. Now you can go build a bouquet for like $10 and make it look pretty nice. But dude wants a $30 pre-built bouquet with a little bag and doesn't even want to get a bag full of potatoes. Instead of a bag full of potatoes, which is like $4, he decides he wants 2 individually wrapped microwavable russet potatoes, whole fresh, for $2.28 each. I'm telling you, you get a big bag of potatoes for like a couple bucks. It's not that much. This part tripped me out. I was like, what? What are you talking about? So microwavable russet whole potatoes, 2 of them. The New York Bakery Texas toast with garlic for $2.97. Can't just get a loaf from the bakery. Oh, that was something I had to say too. I do have some new sound effects on here, which is great. We still have the old classics.
Stoic.
You know, all of those ones. Can I do this right? But I wanted to add in some more like transition music, you know, going from topic to topic, stuff like that. So now we have stuff like this. Sorry, that one was really loud. I don't know why that one was still so loud. I thought I turned them all down. Sorry, that one was crazy loud for no reason. That's my bad. But we have some better ones. I like this. We have a news one. This news one's nice. Whoa. Whoa. Let's see how loud this one is.
You've got mail.
Oh, it's super quiet, actually.
You've got mail.
Nope, never mind. Didn't press it hard enough. Oh, we also still have Alex.
I fucking bust loads all over my couch.
Classic, need to keep that one. Breaking news, exactly. When we have some breaking news, I think that one's perfect. This one's for moving on. And then we have one with a little bit more spice to it. And you see, that's just like a perfect little transition to be like, okay, so we're done with that. But then, sorry, let me finish up this this little choosing beggars, because this wasn't it. So they got the full dinner. I realized they didn't even have a side. It's literally steak and lobster with baked potato, no veg, and garlic bread. You got the flowers, but then decided didn't just need flowers, needed a box of chocolate for $24. Again, there's cheaper boxes. You don't need the $25 box. And maybe he's willing to negotiate when people message him, direct message him and ask him, hey, I might not have the full $156 for you, but can we maybe figure out something a little cheaper? But beyond just this, even just the chocolate, let's say, okay, chocolate and flowers. Okay. Did he need to add the $40 4-foot pink, it says it in the title, giant teddy bear? I don't think that was necessary at all. You don't know what's going on? I'm sorry. There's a lot of stuff going on. We hit a couple different angles there, but we finally rounded it off. So what do we think of this choosing beggar? Would you help this person pay $156 for their dinner? My man got me weed for the flowers. He knows me so well. Hey. Exactly. It's not about the price of what you get. It's about the thought you put into it. If you're really truly someone that cares about the dollar amount, you got to rethink your life. It's the truth. I had one of those because I had one of those and had to throw it away because it was so big I didn't have the room. I think we still have ours. One sec. Oh no, wait. It's like tucked away. I got my fiance one years ago. And now it just sits in like a corner with other like stuffed animals on top of it. My parents moved and were like, you have to take your old toy chest. And I was like, okay. I was like, okay, works for me. I got Jules a Gabe cameo asking her to piss in my ass. Now that's romantic. That's true romance. And this isn't even Alex the Friction. This is Alex the Fiction. This is the true.
I fucking bust loads all over my couch.
I got a heated windshield scraper for Valentine's. Here you go, get to work. I mean, if it's something you needed, good on them. Maybe they knew you that well. Get to it. I mean, for this Valentine's, we did a nice dinner, some flowers. I'm pretty sure the bouquet I got was nicer than this, and it was only like $15, I think. Here, I'll show them. Let me flex real quick. Let me flex my my flower picking. Look at that. Look at that one. Look at all them. Boom. Yup. I know, right? And then I think we got like they were thin cut New York strips that were like $12 or $13, I think, something like that. Wasn't that bad? This was the part that really got me though. I had to get angry over this. A microwavable russet potato, whole fresh, one potato for $2.28, and you got two of them. My partner and kiddos went to the toy shop to spend some Xmas money today, whilst I stayed home poorly. My daughter spent her own money buying me a Dalmatian Squishmallow to make me feel better. Aw, that's so sweet. Shout out, daughter. Shout out all the daughters out there. This one goes out to you. Classic. A new classic. But we are going to move on from that. Oh, this is a little something different. How do we feel about this? Can I show this on stream? Maybe I can't. Maybe I shouldn't show that. There's too much stuff behind the Walmart protection. Now, you can't even tell what it is. It was just Walmart shelves. What's wrong with that? Hey, if Meat Canyon can have what are they called? Bad dragons sitting in his background, why can't I show that? It is a little too late. Hey, it's cool. It's cool. It was quick. It was quick. But all I was basically gonna say is, why is Walmart like locking up everything now? They've got the condoms and vibrators locked up. They've got makeup locked up. They've got Legos locked up. That part kills me. And I swear, they have some of the freezers locked up. They're locking the freezers now, the freezer section. It's ridiculous. Just let them fucking steal. Who cares? We're gonna steal anyways. Don't think that it's not going to happen. But yes, sorry, I just have this on screen. It's completely different than talking about dildos at Walmart. Popular progressive podcaster Luke Beasley calls out Hassan. So I'm actually a big fan of Luke. Luke Beasley's a great... I think they do it live too. I just watch most of the clips that they do from their live show. I think it is just Luke Beasley, right? I don't think he has a separate show. Yeah, it's just Luke Beasley. But yes, you can go check him out at Luke Beasley. Great content. Talks a lot of politics. That's all it is. But I did want to see what he had to say about Hassan. And I thought this was kind of interesting because I think more people are starting to see through the facade. And it's not necessarily that people are becoming like disillusioned or something, because I think his vehement fans are still going to be like, you know, as rabid as they've always been. But it is nice to see that other people that are trying to push toward like progressive ends are pushing back against these things that are just like inherently regressive. Like, and they're also different perspectives than Hassan has held previously, which is also odd to me because I'd love to know when that shift happened.
I think it's important that people who I guess in general you put on the same side hold each other accountable, even though, as you're about to see, Hassan Piker in this clip does not seem to be a part of the movement I'm a part of, because he refuses to say he would prefer Newsom over Vance in 2028.
Disappointed in
Who
Gavin
do you vote
Newsom.
for, J.D. Vance or Gavin Newsom?
Well, I'd have to vote for Gavin Newsom,
Me
of
too.
course, 100%.
I wouldn't blink.
There's no
What
doubt.
about you, Hassan?
I'd probably vote third party.
You would?
Oh, yeah. I mean, at that point, it doesn't even matter.
He puts on the vocal fry so heavily, like in instances when he doesn't have control over the audio settings. Yeah, it's just, I don't know. Why does he always do that?
He would prefer Newsom over Vance in 2028.
Disappointed in
Who
Gavin
do you vote
Newsom.
for, J.D. Vance or Gavin Newsom?
Well, I'd have to vote for Gavin Newsom,
Me
of
too.
course, 100%.
I wouldn't blink.
There's no
What
doubt.
about you, Hassan?
I'd probably vote third party.
I can't even do it. It's so fucking crazy. He's literally like voice cracking on purpose. It's impressive.
You would?
Oh, yeah. I mean, at that point, it doesn't even matter. Like, because my policy on this is the same as like my refusal to endorse Kamala Harris. The reason why I did not endorse Kamala Harris was because she did things that were not only unproductive, but also unconscionable. And I still stand on that. I still talk about it all the time because people constantly bring it up. They're like, you didn't sufficient.
I mean, can you outline some of those grievances that you hold to maybe influence the people that you're speaking with rather than just speaking in absolutes? I don't get it. Because it's exactly, like, I've been trying to say this, is that it is a problem on both the left and the right, and this is exactly what you see happen on the right, where they don't actually have any, like, claims to be made, and maybe they did at one time, but you're clearly just going based on emotion. Like, actually have some substance. Look up Krogunk. It's a Pokemon that sounds just like Hassan. Here, I'll look it up.
Efficiently, you like promote Kamala Harris. You're the reason why she lost. And I'm like, I am incapable. There is no singular force in this country that is capable of making her.
Here, let's see. I'm gonna just play it on the side. It's just a little raspy. It's just his morning vocal fry. What do you mean? He just woke up.
Breaking an election.
Also, once again, dripless. Usually you can pull this off if you're like a cholo. I just don't get why he has a button so high. I button it that high, I can't lie, I do. But yeah, I don't know, it just looks odd. It looks like he's trying to front.
And if that was real, then it is the most idiotic thing not to listen to my demands. But everybody knows that that's not.
Look up the anime version. That does sound like his laugh, though. Krogunk. Don't give me actual frog sounds. What the hell? Ready? If only you guys could see this. This shit's so sick right now. There's like no good clips of it.
I'm pretty sure Krogunk.
Shut up. Do I? I want to hear it.
Well, I'm sorry to have to tell you, but Fantina, the gym leader, is still... Battle. Oh, you were in it too?
It's a pretty good one.
Look, Dad!
Oh no, Elmo's playing now. Talking about Uncle Jack. Hey, Uncle Jack.
And mine.
That creepy Krogunk.
Come on.
It would blends right.
I'm more interested in Pokemon now than listening to Hassan, I've got to be honest.
What's wrong? Why don't you want to eat anymore, Krogunk? What's wrong?
Can't even do it. Okay, sorry. Let me run this back just a little bit. We're a little lost in the sauce here. Let me actually hear what Hassan has to say. So he doesn't like Kamala. There's bad stuff.
The same as like my refusal to endorse Kamala Harris. The reason why I did not endorse Kamala Harris was because she did things that were not only unproductive but also unconscionable. And I still stand on that. I still talk about it all the time because people constantly bring it up. They're like, you didn't sufficiently like promote Kamala Harris. You're the reason why she lost. And I'm like, I am incapable. There is no singular force in this country that is capable of making or breaking an election. And if that was real, then it is the most idiotic thing not to listen to my demands. But everybody knows that that's not real, right? Mm-hmm.
So let's not do the whole one person wouldn't make the difference thing, especially when you're an extremely influential.
I mean, that's the same logic as like, well, one vote doesn't make the difference. Why do I need to vote? One vote isn't going to change anybody's mind. Just on like a way grander scale because you have the influence like of the masses.
Public figure. And it's not about you voting for Kamala or advocating for Kamala more would have single-handedly made the difference. What we're talking about is a principle and collective advocacy. I do think if a lot of people like you had taken a different approach, maybe the election could have gone a different way. But we don't know. And I am often a big fan of Jennifer Welch, but I was kind of disappointed that she didn't push back at all. Like, to me, it's such a crazy privileged position and out of touch position to be like, well, I don't like Newsom for this reason or that reason, which plenty of reasons to criticize him. And so I'd probably just vote third party, because who really cares if you're in Hassan's position? Life's going to be fine either way.
Yeah. And I think that's kind of like, it's what makes his statement seem so selfish, because at face value, it isn't necessarily wrong, right? He is right that one person doesn't make the election. Oh, just him alone would. But then to like expand on that and be like, if that was the case, why wouldn't she come to my beck and call and listen to everything I have to say? Why wouldn't she like meet all of my demands? It's just insane. I hate him so much. He's such a piece of shit. He doesn't have anyone's best interest in mind except his own. Exactly. It is just, even when like understand, like, because that's the thing too, is it's not that he understands truly his effect. I guess he does, and maybe he just doesn't actually want that effect. It's just it's so difficult to actually like pinpoint what it is. Is it that Hassan is truly ignorant of the influence that he has? Or does he understand the influence that he has and is just so willing to lie, so much so that other people are starting to like see through it now? Because that's the thing, is it just the mask slipping, or is he that dumb? I'm not a fan of Newsom, but Republicans can't get more power, in my view, based on what we've seen them hand wave by this administration. I think the lesser of two evils type like voting isn't great, but it is effective at times. Because you have to understand that regardless of if you are fully in agreement with either party, your like voice is going to have a greater echo when backed by the party, like when you are like have the influence in that way. And so when you have your party in power, either locally or, you know, on a having like a majority vote, then it like, I don't know, it's just it's so ridiculous to me, because I don't understand.
The reality is,
I understand that it's a very complicated situation.
Republican policies that
and
harm
that
marginalized people,
obviously
so
there
willing to
are
throw
no
them under the
saints.
bus
Like,
so
we're
he
going
can
to
keep
listen to
virtue
Obama
signaling.
later, but Obama talking about immigration, even if he talks about things like Maduro and things like that, like, look at what happened in Libya and the destabilization there. Like, obviously there's so many different factors at play, and there's no saints in politics. And so what we truly need is just something to help. Did it read the chat or no? I didn't have the text to speech popped through. That was my bad. I now have it running so I can hear it. My bad. I'll reread your message now because of that. Thank you so much for the $10, Z King. Let me actually read your message so we can hear it through.
Does this interrupt you too? www.
Does that interrupt me too? I didn't see it. The reality is Hassan is rich and won't really be affected by the Republican policies that harm marginalized people, so he's willing to throw them under the bus so he can keep virtue signaling. Yeah. And I think that's like the biggest thing, is that you can easily see that what Hassan's trying to do is just create a positioning for himself to like keep on keeping on, in a sense. I could just mute the alerts. Don't make me do it. But here, let's keep it going.
But our advocacy is usually not for only our own well-being. Like myself, Hassan, happen to be in extremely lucky positions in our life because of being able to do this. And with the resources that come with it, with the income that comes with it, and just with the strength of an audience, there's a certain level of insulation and protection against any administration. But it's the people on the ground.
Honeybee emoji, 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 honeybee emoji.
I'm just gonna let it play.
Honeybee emoji, honeybee emoji, honeybee emoji.
Cut you short. How does that feel?
It's the people who are losing their health care. It's the people who are being targeted. It's the people being shot who need us to care about the outcome of a future election, even if the candidate...
Got a subscriber.
Will it read these ones out? Oh, it didn't read those ones, surprisingly.
Who's far better than the Republican side is very flawed. And to not see how the material conditions and people's lives would be so significantly different under any generic Democrat compared to a Republican, I think is insane. I think it's insane. And it kind of pisses me off. And rants like this, too, are kind of insane. And this is all a criticism from the place of love, but it scares me, someone with his audience, to so casually dismiss the fundamental differences between the current MAGA Republican Party and...
I got a subscriber.
Honeybee emoji.
So true.
Candidate like Newsom, however flawed he'd be.
You're yelling at one of the few people that does give a fuck about trans people in general, okay? That's all you're doing. Democrat.
And this is a perfect example of what Madman was saying, that it's clear that he doesn't care about anybody but himself. All he wants is for it to just... He wants to be able to say whatever he wants to say and retain like the highest level of like allyship and like all just whatever. It's literally, I should be able to do whatever I want and nobody criticize me for anything. And I honestly, this one pissed me off. I didn't realize this clip. I only watched the beginning of this clip when I pulled it, so I actually had this ready too. And this did piss me off because who the fuck are you, bro? Like, what are you talking about? He's basically going like, I'm the only one that cares about you. How dare you? Like, this is literally like abuser mentality. Like, this is like how abusers talk to people. Oh, I'm the only one that can love you. I'm the only one that loves you. And the world treats you like shit. Everybody treats you like shit. And you're going to come and fucking hate on me? It's such bullshit. It's actually a horrible, like, way to speak to people.
Don't give a fuck about you. They would literally shoot you in the fucking head if it meant that they would be able to secure additional electoral wins. Shut the fuck up.
That's fun.
Shut the fuck up, don't you get it? Oh, I'm the only one that cares about you. You fucking idiot, can't you get it through your fucking head? Like, what are you talking about, bro? You're insane.
Hey, it's Captain Quasar. You are hearing my internal thoughts. I am gay and wet for Alex the fiction. Yummer doodles. Yup.
I fucking bust loads all over my couch.
Hi, I'm Couch.
A fun vibe. So what he was responding to is Ari saying, actual trans person here, Gavin Newsom made a comment about trans athletes that I don't agree with, but California is still one of the best places to be trans in the country. See the difference? You don't care about what happens to us, so stop acting like you speak for us. In response to Hassan saying, shit libs who don't care about losing to Trump now want you to obey in advance to the hypothetical establishment candidate, while there isn't even a guarantee there will be an election 2 years from now. And then using marginalized people as a cudgel as Gavin threw trans people under the bus. So then that's what she was responding to. You don't have to obey in advance or whatever. I just feel like it's the logic of it. Like, he also wasn't really advocating for Kamala. I don't know what he ended up doing. And to reference that we might not have an election in 2 years, but then to not be clear morally, factually, that any candidate who has basic respect for our democratic system would be far superior to what the MAGA Republican Party has become.
But it wouldn't. How do you know? But how do you know that it would be better? It's like how 5-year-olds argue, I swear. Hasan can't actually, he has no substance. It's all just, yeah. Oh, yeah? You're wrong, though. Have you ever thought that maybe you're wrong and I'm right?
Just feels dishonest. And a lot of people, I think, treat politics like an opportunity to stroke themselves, like to stroke their own morals.
No, I like the way you said it the first time. They use it as an opportunity to stroke themselves. That's a great way to put it, Luke. I appreciate that one.
They make themselves just feels dishonest. And a lot of people, I think, treat politics like an opportunity to stroke themselves, like to stroke their own morals.
Yesterday, I bought a trumpet off of eBay for $45. When it arrived at my house, it was a gold trumpet, which was weird cause trumpets are usually silver. When I talk out tay trumped, it come with blood re.
It come out blood re. I remember that. I remember when you took it out and it comed with blood red. Give that a like real quick.
They make themselves feel so good about how perfectly pure their politics are that no one's ever good enough for them. When politics should just be about how you implement the best outcomes for people. And I'm getting a little sick of this. Oh, it'll get me attention and I'm different, I'm edgy if I'm constantly going, no.
To me, it just honestly seems like an attempt to appeal to like people just coming out of high school. Like freshmen in college. Like legitimately, that's what it feels like is the only people that would. Because it's just like propaganda at the end of the day, right? It's just a different type, it's a different flavor of propaganda. And I don't think Hasan could argue with that. I don't know if he would. He might not. He might agree. Like, yeah, I do a kind of propaganda. I'm a propagandist. Yeah, I said that. So. Now what's wrong with that? Like the dope that he is. I'm a propagandist. What's wrong with that? Well, you know what they say. Let's move on. Let's hear it one more time, actually. Just from the horse's mouth. It just sounds like abuser language. Like, truly, to me, when I first heard this, it just sounds like an abuser. Like, I can't think of any other way to describe the type of vitriol that he spits.
You're yelling at one of the few people that does give a fuck about trans people in general, okay? That's all you're doing. Democrats don't give a fuck about you. They would literally shoot you in the fucking head if it meant that they would be able to secure additional electoral wins. Shut the fuck up.
Yeah, I don't know why he said electoral like that. I didn't know what you meant at first, but yeah, he did say that kind of weird. Electoral. It's because he was almost out of breath. He does this thing where when he's speaking, when he's angry, he'll just start going like this until he's completely out of breath and he doesn't have anything left in him to completely what he's saying. Slow down. Take a little. Come on, calm down. It's okay. But now we're going to move into an important topic. The new billboard that was put up by TED Entertainment Inc. Let me just get this started. Oh, what was that? Breaking news. Coming at you from Cap and Quasar. We're getting used to this soundboard now. You know it. But so this has been the big talk lately. After $10,000 and 523 design submissions from you guys, the James Charles billboard is finally live. Disclaimer, the lyrics in the song of this post is not about James Charles. I don't know, maybe there was a song they used first. I don't know. But here we go. This is it. Say, James, I hear you text him young. And then a search query. James Charles allegations. Feel free to look it up. Oh, B emoji, B emoji, B emoji, B. Paid for by TED Entertainment Inc. With a slight disclaimer here. It's not even necessarily a disclaimer. It's just a clarification that I don't know who did this article. It says it here. I'm just blind. I forgot what they said it on the show too. But James Charles, YouTuber star, admits messaging 16-year-old boys. That was posted on April Fool's Day, though, too. Maybe you should have picked a different article, I'm not going to lie. But this went up just a day ago, a couple days ago. This is brand new. It was brand new, just went up. And it was the talk of the town. It was from the BBC, okay.
Well, as of this afternoon.
And sorry, we'll get to this in just a second. But it was the talk of the town.
Excuse me, what do you mean Ethan Klein paid for this billboard that says, Sage?
Yes, it's true. I've spent about $10,000 to put up a full-sized billboard on a busy street in Los Angeles to remind everybody of the predator that James Charles is. With everybody talking about the Epstein files and thinking back on Harvey Weinstein and people like him that have got away with it for so long. And all the time people are asking, how did we let this guy get away with it? And I'm looking at James Charles rebuild his career, collaborate with mainstream people, and I'm wondering, and it's all happening again. You ask, how does people like him get away with it for so long? And yet here we are allowing it to happen again. So far, this is the only good idea I've had to try to do something. And with somebody with resources and reach, I feel like, it's the least I can do to try to remind the people of Los Angeles and the world that this is what James Charles gets up to. And it's time we start calling him out. So I hope you all...
Yeah, and I mean, just in general, these people like this need to be called out more, because there's so many different people that, even just, I see it all the time of, churches, small communities that have, these churches that have a leader that abused somebody. That person tries to come forward, and then, the church is like, oh, no, try and move away from the, no. Don't, nobody talk about that, nobody talk. I see it on Instagram, I see it, at least every couple months I'll see a new one. And I feel like we need to be able to speak out against these things more. It's come on, what world are we living in? And shout out Martin. I gotta be honest, I didn't pull his TikTok because I mean, he's checking out the billboard. But shout out Martin. Water is not just water. So true. But then somehow Ethan posted this. Ethan's new Instagram post states, it appears the billboard was removed. The predator protection gears are turning. I will get to the bottom of this. No mercy for predators or those protecting them. This is the beginning, not the end. Fuck you, James Charles, and all that would protect you. Now I shall double my efforts. Dun, dun, dun. And we can see here, it does here. I'm gonna show this next thing that somebody posted. Somebody posted this on the subreddit. The billboard and what I can tell you as an installer for Lamar. Hello all. So my wife got me into H3 when we first met, and sometimes she watches shows without me. How dare her? Anyways, I've worked for Lamar for 2.5 years. Any static board that you see from this company is a large vinyl piece of material that we hang with ratchet straps and fiberglass poles to stretch over the face of the board. Ethan's vinyl wasn't taken down, just turned around. I saw Ethan's IG post about how he had contacted the billboard company and was told we're all off till Tuesday. That's correct, but if there's ever an emergency that needs taken care of, they'll call us to deal with it. And what happened here is that sign got turned around. Refer to my pic. That's me and my crew flipping a customer's sign that didn't pay when it came to billing. So why? So this isn't the, like, just to clarify, this wasn't the Billboard, I don't think. Yeah. This is clearly a different location. I just realized, I was like, it is similar actually. But yeah, the pole's in a different spot. So why? Because someone with more money than what's on his contract had a shit fit, and the crew got called to flip it. Lamar only cares about the almighty dollar. I have many work experiences that support that theory. Also, anyone in the office he gets a hold of will only try to cover the company's ass. Customers don't get on signs or see what happens in that office, so they can come up with pretty much anything to fit a story that makes them innocent. I'm not sure the location of the James Charles board, but some branches will even call in contractors if they need to flip a vinyl. Also, Ethan needs to check the dates for the flight of this vinyl. Maybe, just a big maybe, the sign got flown later than when it was supposed to go up. Then they were waiting to flip it as soon as the flight end was coming around, in which he could get credit for lost time, and they probably just pay him back, which is probably what's going to happen. For Lamar, there's no such thing as bad press. They're eating this shit up in that their company is getting mentioned so much in the whole fiasco. Pigs in shit. Me, I'm just a crew foreman that's there for a paycheck. I'm all for raging against the machine. Fuck pedophile billionaires and the system. Let's eat them all. Not if they're pigs rolling around in shit, I've got to be honest. That's a little... I'll pass on that one. Yeah, they say vandalize, but it matches what the flip would look like. So they said vandalization, but again, that he's clarified here that they're just going to tell you whatever they can to appease you at the time. But then I wanted to check this one out.
And I can confirm that the billboard is down. This is an interesting mystery at hand. The advertisers we work with say they had nothing to do with it. In fact, they say nobody's even working. It's a 3-day weekend because President's Day is on Monday. Which
I realized I should have played this one first. So this one is what the Redditor was talking about. Ethan's clarifying here.
Leaves open the possibility that this was the work of a vandal, suggestive of James Charles or anybody else hired their own private crew to come remove.
If that's the case, that a private crew came and did it themselves, that's insane.
Move the billboard during the middle of the day on Sunday. We don't yet know for sure who's responsible for this, but we will find.
Are you wearing a bathrobe? Yes, he is wearing a bathrobe. He does look super cozy.
Out, and we will hold those responsible who are doing this to protect a predator. Regardless, this is not the end. This is...
Bonjour, everyone. Bonjour, Captain. Yes, my favorite dose of woke mind virus straight to the dome. You know it.
Only the beginning. Remember, it's not just about James. It's about those that enable him, those that work with him, those that still collaborate with him. It's time to double our efforts. More billboards. I'm gonna get a Skyrider. Doesn't...
Well, we got another supporter on the train. There was the dog right there. The dog. Is that Ducky? Yeah? They were only in there for a frame.
Well,
and so that was that. And then there was a update in which Ethan posted this post that we saw and said, "We spoke to management. The billboard is going back up. Confirmed that it was vandalized. Stay tuned." I'm wondering how it would have been vandalized. And I'm wondering if they were given images of the vandalization. Because there were a lot of people going and checking out this billboard. When did the people, like, did they do it in the dead of night? When was the time both to vandalize it and then also for them to flip it without it being seen by anybody? That's the part that confuses me. I think he did cut his hair, possibly. I think it does look shorter. He didn't cut the beard though. He's growing the beard out.
Of this after.
That's what was making me question it, because I was like, he's looking a little scruffy. But yeah, so that is that. And then I wanted to check this out too, because Ethan Rhett has been talking about the Billboard since it went up. So,
guys, I woke up with a big smile on my face thanks to Ethan Klein and his team once again for putting up that billboard. But I've also decided to look at flights for this week to go up there and see that freaking billboard in person. I cannot thank you guys enough. For all the other victims out there, you shoot me a text and we'll figure out how you can get up there as well. This is insane. I'll see you soon, LA. Thank you guys so much.
No, don't get me claimed. No. It was actually this song that was playing. God. My bad, that was way too loud. Because I had to boost him first. Just blew out everyone's eardrums. I'm so sorry. But he wants to go on the H3 show. He's been talking about it in his comments. He's been talking about a lot of different stuff about the Billboard, just kind of, saying as one of the victims, thank you. And I think it's just so funny seeing how some people are trying to twist this into Ethan's just trying to rebuild his fucking PR. That's all this is. Even if that's the case, like, does that make this bad? I don't get it. Oh, I feel like people hate me, so I'm trying to show that I can do good. I'm trying to really show myself this year and show that I can stand up against these different negative people in the world. Fucking evil. This dude is jacked. Look at those cheekbones and dimples. I hope he gets justice. No, yeah, I mean, look at the traps. Looking real meaty, you know what I mean? In a good way. That sounded really rude, honestly. I meant it positively. I think there was one other one, my bad. I thought I pulled it. Oh, well, here, I'll pull this one real quick. Here's what Dan's been up to. Everybody thinks Dan's been he's been sick, when in reality he's been stuck in this game. It's terrible. It's actually terrible. He's doing really good, though. I am impressed. Might have to download. Do people actually download these games? I can't imagine. The gameplay honestly doesn't look terrible, but the game itself just the gameplay looks bad. The mechanics look half decent. Here, I wanted to get the thank you too. Here we go.
So I just got news. This billboard was taken down by James Charles and his team, which is such a shame that they have this much fucking power in this world, especially when it was paid for by our dearest friend Ethan Klein. Whether y'all like him or not, he did something fucking amazing, and I would truly appreciate that for the rest of my life. If James thinks this is going to stop us from fighting, it's absolutely not going to. This is just going to light the fucking fire even more. So guys, let's keep our fucking heads up. We got this. Thank you so much for all the fucking support. I will be back on later today with some more updates.
We need more Ethans to weigh in. They should have me call into the show. They should. They need to have a third. They should get Ethan Rhett on the show and then have you, Ethan, just also in a corner. Just have the three of you there. And you're just like, I'm just the third Ethan. I'm just here. I'm here weighing in. And you don't say anything the rest of the time. You're just like, They ask you at the very end, so what do you think about this whole situation? And you just go, yeah, fuck that guy. Everybody cheers. Bring in Ethan Bradbury too. Fuck it. Bring in the whole everybody. The army of the Ethans. But that is that. Cool. And I think we're making actually decent time. Surprisingly enough. But now I'm wondering, I guess I'll watch both of these. It doesn't really matter all that much. This one's about Idubbbz, the
Stoic
king the white Hassan, and Hassan happens to be the...
Go watch Turkish Idubbbz stream.
My favorite. But this is from Willie Mac Show. Charlie destroys Idubbbz by doing nothing. Pure projection. So I think he's going to talk about some of the stuff that we've already seen, but I there is some other things in here that I have not... I didn't even hear about, so... I wanted to check this out. I'll put this at a little bit faster speed, and then we'll get to Obama.
Idubbbz is always taking out his insecurities on other more successful creators. This time it's Charlie.
And I think he has the capability of changing, right? I will say, though, like, I don't think a lot of them are quite as, I don't think...
Because I saw the original clip of him talking about Charlie being alt-right, part of the alt-right pipeline. I didn't know he kept doubling down. Why double down on such a bad take? It's just so ridiculous.
I think a lot of them have developed their woke mind as much as me.
And like literally, Charlie just made a whole another video about the Epstein files. Yeah, this one.
All right, man.
I'm just shitting out of my dick hole. I fucking jumped in a tar pit full of cum and I... What is it, Charlie? But he's talking about the Epstein files. He's talking about how Alex Jones did some glazing. He talks about the CoffeeZilla stuff. He even talks about the connections to Israel and the fact that a lot of people are like trying to downplay that a little bit, which is true as well. There are some Israel connections there that we should not ignore. But I just don't get how you're like, he's right-wing pipeline. What are you talking about? Ian is a double down dork. Well, I mean, this is when it all happened, right?
This is when
This was the moment.
unlocked his woke mind.
I love my girlfriend, and I'm totally fine with dudes jacking off the pictures of her on the internet. This is the most intelligent thing I've probably ever done. I don't think a lot of them have developed their woke mind as much as me.
It's CTE, man. Get help. He compares his past content to Clavicular and Nick Fuentes.
Then when you meet a lot of these people who are, you know, advocating for these people online, the Claviculars, you know, 2016 Idubbbz, all this sort of shit, Nick Fuentes, like, they are, as you said, probably...
You know what's funny? Clavicular is just such a... He's such a reject. Everybody remembers the reason Clavicular is popular. It's because of this photo, right? With his grandma. But did you know that this is actually... God damn it, I had it pulled up earlier. This is obviously him trying to copy the swag of this man. Look at this. Look at this here, and look at the my God. How many cycles is this guy on? He makes Clavicular look emaciated. This bothered me though. I was like, oh. Not only is he a Nazi, he's unoriginal. But yes, they are troglodytes in a sense, yes. Keep going, Idubbbz, please.
Stoic. Troglodytes.
How are any of those people similar? Clavicular runs people over and frame mogs them.
Is he dead? Hopefully.
And Nick Fuentes thinks we need to bring back segregation. His example was if he had a black roommate, he'd argue with them about the shower.
It's not about the color of your skin or your race, it's about your morality.
This is kind of an old debate to bring up. You could talk about all the new stuff that Nick Fuentes has been saying, which has honestly been turning his own audience against him. Because he's been... It's funny, honestly. I see some clips on Instagram where he is... It's funny when the audience doesn't become disillusioned with the creator, when the creator becomes disillusioned with their audience. Because he was literally... like getting chatters that were telling him like, hey Nick, I just became a 5th grade teacher. How do I subtly teach the kids about like race theory and this? And or he was like, how do I, what was it? What are subtle ways I can implement, or what are ways I can teach kids certain, he asked him something like that, and Nick basically said, Nick Fuentes actually told one of his fans, just teach them fucking math and English. Don't teach them about race or realism and not in Nazi history. And I just thought that was so funny, because it's like, how are you going to come at your audience for the way that you've like formed them? You've created these people that want to go teach, you know, 5th graders about how Hitler actually, they were stapling people, the Nazis were actually stapling people together. So there's medical advancements that were made.
It's about your decision making, what's right, what's wrong, how do you treat other people.
Well, I mean, you could say that, but the thing is that, you know, human beings have a tendency to fight with each other. And you can say that, we could say that sitting down here, but what happens when, what would happen if you and I were living in the same house? That's the kind of concept. When you and I are on a Discord call, we're sort of strangers, we're talking about ideas, that's great. But what if we're living in the same house and there's a fight over, you know, who gets to shower when, and who gets this seat on the couch, and who, these are the kinds of things that happen in a dense...
Would you fight more with a black person over who gets to use the shower?
Yes, and here's why.
Ian, you think you were like these people? Ian comparing himself to these people means that when he was making all of these edgy jokes, they weren't just jokes. He's saying that he was actually just a racist.
And it's the full-blown Quran. Some of you guys didn't bat an eye when I broke that Jesus VHS over my knee, but I know there's gonna be a lot of people in the audience just cringing when
he acted like this was an accident on Hassan's stream.
There's a video of him chopping a Quran in half. And when my dad was still mentally sane, I was terrified that he was going to find that video of Ian. He's like,
God, I did not know that.
Yeah, he chops a Quran in half with a cleaver. And I was like, oh my God, if my dad ever fucking sees that.
Oh, so he's done it multiple times?
It was less intentional. It was more just random unboxing, and I'm just, you know, oopsie.
I don't know. Looked pretty intentional.
Cringing. Oopsie.
I will say, did he pre-cut it?
More just random unboxing, and I'm just, you know, oopsie.
Or maybe that's what she's saying. Maybe he hit it with a hatchet or something first, and then broke it, because the spine just like rips like nothing.
I don't know. Looked pretty intentional.
Like the way it ripped, maybe he's just that strong. He should have shown that in the ring.
Oopsie. But the most interesting part is that Ian decided to drag Charlie down with him as an alt-pipeline racist.
I never perceived 2016 Idubbbz to be ideologically like right-wing or ideologically hateful in the way that those other two are. Like
it's part of the pipeline, though. It's the same reason people wouldn't say Charlie, Moist Critical, is right-wing or like as ideologically out there as like a Nick Fuentes or even Asmongold, right? But he holds some space for the people in his audience who might have some differing opinions.
This is such a stupid comparison for so many reasons. One, Charlie criticizes Donald Trump frequently. Esmond doesn't. Their political views and content are completely different. Charlie's out here making anti-ICE videos. He's obviously a liberal.
This is a 100% unjustified killing of an American citizen here.
And look, he was the one that escalated all of this. They were trying to drive away until he kicked the taillight out.
Also, sharing a space with people that have different political opinions than you is okay. Otherwise, you'd have an echo chamber. You'd be posting videos to people who already agree with you. But that is what Ian wants from Charlie.
But he holds some space for the people in his audience who might have some differing opinions.
The horror.
He doesn't make it clear, like, I don't want you in my fucking community. Like,
this mentality is also just so like internet brained, because that only works on the internet. Are you literally saying that you should like separate yourself and ostracize others and like oust people from like it's just such a weird thing to try and say, because it only makes sense for the internet. You should go up to these people and be like, hey, I don't want you around here. Get the fuck out of here. What's wrong with you? Get out of here. I hate you. That's how they should talk?
Outright.
Ian just wants Charlie to mutilate himself the same way he did it. There's nothing wrong with having people in your audience with different opinions. That way maybe you can convince them of your point of view.
I get it. I get the hustle. I did it for a while. But it is a little bit of cope. And I understand why people don't want to take the path that I took, because it breeds a lot of hate.
Oh, poor you. Brother, you literally demonized your entire fan base for laughing at your jokes, and now you stream to 100 people. You want Charlie to follow that same path? The only reason Ian brought up Charlie at all was because Charlie didn't like his apology video from 3 years ago.
It was almost more telling.
I can't even think of anything that Charlie does that's like right wing, because I'm just like thinking about it. Like, yes, Idubbbz, you ripped a Quran in half. You were just trying to do the edgiest things you could. You were quite literally just thinking of what's the edgiest thing I could do. And I feel like you were less thoughtful in your like in your creative endeavors than the people that were in your circle, like Joji, Filthy Frank, who I think did a better job at like creating edgy humor. Because you can do it. Like, I truly do believe you can joke about anything. It just has to be funny. And comedy changes, humor changes over time. People's, like, you know, sensibilities change. And you can say that, oh, it's what's funny for one person will be, you know, horrible to another. But again, it's like, we should be able to actually understand what the jokes that are being made are. And to be fair, a lot of the jokes you were doing were literally just, I'm ripping the Quran in half. Haha, I bet you were upset about that. That's not, like, what? Yeah, he turned off, no, I don't think he turned off ad revenue. He turned off memberships? Is that what it was? I think he's keeping ad revenue. Or was it super chats? He turned something off. I don't think it was ad revenue, though. Because I think he wanted to stop taking money from fans was the thing.
Charlie's response to my apology, however many years ago, than the apology itself. I think it perfectly encapsulated even the point that I'm making here.
Yes, you heard that right. He's making these nonsensical statements because he's holding a grudge towards Charlie. Charlie didn't even say anything mean to him.
I've also created a culture of, I don't know, a lot of like cruelty as well. Like, you know, some of the videos I've made have been very, not edgy. I don't think they you know, some of these videos were edgy. I think they were just outright cruel.
Okay, let's hear what Charlie has to say.
The way he talks about this content makes it sound like he used to f***ing murder puppies for these videos, which it was never that extreme. I very much would consider it edgy. It was 2016 edginess in all of its glory. Point of
its super chats are off. Yeah, because what I remember is it was specifically because he was like, I wanted to stop. I don't want to take money away from my audience. If you want to buy my merch, buy my comic, you know, support me in these different ways, you can do that. But just giving me money doesn't make sense in the, you know, and it's, I feel like the way Charlie said it too was perfect because he wasn't even like speaking down on other creators that do have memberships and do accept super chats. He's just saying, Charlie literally went, I'm a fucking millionaire. I don't need you guys to give me $5 a month. It can go somewhere else.
His content wasn't to be hateful or hurtful. He really was just trying to entertain. At least that's how.
Oh yeah, he was doing that for a while too, where he'd give like random people money on stream. Yeah, he'd do that. I don't know if he still does that, but I know he was doing that for a while.
How I and the majority of people viewed it.
It's so funny to see Ian come in here and correct Charlie because he's essentially saying, no, Charlie, you don't understand. Those weren't jokes. It was meant to be hateful. This guy's asking Ian how he's coping with the hate, and you could hear the pain in his laugh.
How do you, I guess, how do you like weather that storm? Does it affect you? Do you think about it at all? I feel like at this point in your career.
I honestly, Idubbbz laugh is worse than Hassan's. Look at this pause. This freeze frame is great. That's how he laughs at everything.
Hey man, yeah, I'm weathering it. I'm weathering it.
It literally sounds like some kind of small monkey or something.
It's again, it's one of these things where you just kind of got to put your head down and like get to work.
Well, then get to work. You haven't posted in 3 months. It's also very clear that Ethan Klein lives rent-free in his head. He's like, I want to make a video on Ethan. It's so hard for me not to do that.
I'm very proud of the video. I think the content comp on him has aged well, and
yeah.
I've been very happy at the amount of people I've met through it. Like I don't think I ever, if I just tried to stay in my own little fucking bubble, I don't think I would have met you, Isaac, Taylor Lorenz, Frogan Denims, all these people who are very
what a crew.
Very kind.
You just named off all of the worst people. Your content cop was hated because you defended false CPS calls. Half of your new friends.
Honestly, Idubbbz is straight jester maxing. He's jester maxing, and you can tell his cortisol levels are constantly through the roof.
Very, very kind.
You just named off all of the worst people. Your content cop was hated because you defended false CPS calls. Half of your new friends did the exact same thing. Ian's become a part of Hassan's concubine. What's funny is old clips of Denims are now going viral, showing that she used to have the exact same criticisms of Hassan that people do now.
Everyone on the left is so socially woke that they feel like they can't possibly be wrong. Point in case, Hassan. Like, if Hassan thinks he's morally more virtuous than someone else, he just, like, flames him. He doesn't actually...
Honestly, I'm glad that Denim stopped putting on a voice. Like, I've seen people make fun of Denims and say that, like, she has a deep voice and this and that. I think her voice sounds fine. This voice sounds annoying. You can tell that she's trying to, like, raise it just a little bit. And it's a little grating, I've got to be honest.
Hassan. Like, if Hassan thinks he's morally more virtuous than someone else, he just, like, flames him. He doesn't actually make me...
Yeah, point in case. She said, I pointed that out in one of the previous streams. Point in case. That's great.
genuine good faith arguments towards other people.
This was allegedly before her falling out with Destiny, where she stayed in his apartment with another dude without him knowing.
Why was I not told that he was not allowed to be in the apartment?
Why do all these streamers change their voices so much? I don't know. I couldn't tell you. I've got to know. I keep my voice just the same all the time. Check it in 10 years. I'll sound exactly the same as I do right now.
Assume you would bring a stranger into my apartment without asking me. Why? Why would you put me in this weird spot where I have to come home and see an incredibly creepy f***ing guy that is such a weird position in my community that's been trying to get me to stop talking to my ex-girlfriend because he's trying so hard to f*** her, is now f***ing somebody else in my bed, dragging his...
Yeah. Apparently Destiny got doxxed recently, or he got swatted. And I saw a clip where it was like, Destiny's cop friend comes over to check out Destiny's cool gun collection. And it's because you could see the cop in the background like shining on his wall of guns. It was pretty funny. But like I couldn't imagine like if I found them together, like it doesn't even come from a place of like, oh she's mine. I'd be like, dude, I'm going to attack you for like doing stuff like this in my home. You need to leave at this instant. You can put on your clothes in the hallway. Get the fuck out of here.
hairy balls across my blankets.
And then after that falling out, she now rides for Hassan no matter what. In Denham's most recent stream, she responds to this clip, saying she does criticize Hassan, and then she immediately follows that up with every negative thing she's seen about him was out of context.
Seen a clip recently circulating where it's like, it's me criticizing Hassan because, shocker, I've always criticized Hassan. And do you want to know why? In that clip, I'm criticizing him years ago because I was tricked by a million of these clips being like, wow, this guy seems like a sexist piece of shit.
In the original clip, you weren't criticizing Hassan for being a misogynist. You were criticizing him because he's...
It's also... So are you just saying that previously, like, in the past, you used to speak about things with no knowledge? And you just don't do that anymore? What made you stop doing that? Because you started listening to Hassan instead? Because what you're saying there is, well, I just knew nothing about Hassan and I was just speaking like all of these dumbasses online. Are you just one of the dumbasses online?
Not good faith. Classic Denims never engages with the conversation.
You can just watch one broadcast and then realize all of this is fucking fabricated.
So she ignores the point of the clip and then doubles down, saying that she literally doesn't have a single criticism. Idubbbz used to have more motion than any creator. Now he's having to thank Denims for rating his channel.
This fucking tomatonator when you gave What's the stream taking off? Yeah, that's called the Denims bump.
This is so sad. Going back to the podcast that Ian was on,
The stream taking
rating his channel.
This fucking tomatonator when you gave What's the stream taking off? Yeah, that's called the
Bro actually started barking. He got so happy.
The Denims bump.
This is so sad. Going back to the podcast that Ian was on, Madison then joins the stream. She's the one who implied that Ethan was harming himself and Hilo was a pedophile.
Ethan has spoken openly and publicly about his Tourette's. There's a study that says that 86% of those diagnosed with Tourette's will be diagnosed with a second psychiatric disorder during their lifetime. Hilo dresses kind of childlike.
What was the point of her saying that? And was that literally the full claim? What's the point of saying that if you're not saying that he has some other kind of psychological like, what?
With a little teddy with Tourette's will be diagnosed with a second psychiatric disorder during their lifetime. Hila dresses kind of childlike with a little teddy bear for her fashion brand. I find all of that interesting.
This is such a cursed group of individuals. The least credible people you know are all friends. This woman slandered Ethan and Hila, and instead this podcast focuses on how Ethan called her a bitch afterwards.
And like, if you do think that you're a girly pop feminist, but then you watch like Ethan Klein dunks on dumb stupid women, like maybe you should question that a little bit.
The things he would say too, like he would. He called a lot of women the B slur, B word. He also got his wife to call, like he outsourced the slurs. He's like, call her a Nazi bitch. What the fuck?
Who cares? You called them pedophiles. You deserve worse. So Ian finishes this car crash of a podcast, hops on stream, and starts patting himself on the back.
Yeah, dude. I need to go on fucking podcast more, dude. I need to do it more. It's so good.
Yeah, that implies that everything is part of the alt-right pipeline.
I would even go so far as to say that with the internet, the way the internet is structured, unfortunately, a lot of things are part of the pipeline. Workout content, finance content, dating content.
You know, I was just trying to think of a word. I was like, what is the substitute, right? If we can't say, like, what is a truly neutral insult that just means mean? That means like rude or mean? Asshole, I guess? Is that the only one? Because like dick, prick, I guess bastard has a different connotation sometimes, but I don't know. I'm trying to think of what the substitute could be. Is it good? It should just be like you're a mean person, bastard. But bastard, like, I guess it's neutral, but you're like the use of that word is to say that, like, you don't have a father, you don't have a parent, right? Isn't that what bastard means? Bastard definition. A person born to parents not married to each other. Oh, so an illegitimate child. Which, I mean, is like, could be weighted to use against somebody. I don't know. Because it's neutral in terms of gender, but I feel like it's still necessarily weighted in terms of usage. I'm calling bitches bitches all day. I'm never stopping. I've said that I think the one, like, I don't use it as often. Like, I don't talk bad about people. But I have said that I think that the difference should be using bitch to insult somebody and be like, this person is a bitch, versus referring to people in general as bitches. Because I feel like there are a lot of men who just go like, these bitches. I was talking to this bitch today, and they're not even saying that that person was acting like a bitch. They're saying that all women are just under this categorization. And I definitely understand why that's wrong. Oh shit, all 3 of my kids are bastards. New insult unlocked. That's how you get them now. That's how you really get them. I keep thinking of the Seinfeld episode where John Paul keeps saying bastard. Hey, just keep calling him a bastard.
Content, commentary, etc. The right TM has been manufacturing the space since before Gamergate, and we're all playing catch up now. Absolutely.
If you talk about anything without mentioning your politics, you're part of the pipeline, apparently. Politics has broken his brain. He outright compares Charlie to Asmongold.
The person who posted it said, this is purity over actual politics. Charlie has been going at the Trump admin and their policies for months, actually years. Silly, missing the point entirely. You can clip Asmongold going after Trump or saying not nice things about Trump. That doesn't absolve people of anything.
If you think these two creators are the same at all, you've never watched either of them. His fans point this out.
He is not a safe space for the alt-right at all.
Wait, Gabby Hanna talked about... Wait, she said something about Ethan? The Gabby Hanna drama is going to be something else. I thought she was like working at like Planet Fitness or something now. Wait, what?
Sure he is. There's a lot of places that are a safe space. Just by being like, you know, non-political a lot of the time, like that's doing enough.
So because Charlie reviews movies and video games, you know, non-political content, that makes him a safe space for alt-writers. Genuinely, this guy eating pickles in the sewers was more intelligent content than what he puts out now. Yo, this is making me alt-right. 13 million people watch this. 13 million new Nick Fuentes viewers thanks to Ian. Ian made this apology video nearly 3 years ago, and he's very clearly still coping from it.
You can get on some freak's hit list online.
Yeah, and that's the other thing. If you're not calling men bitches as well, if you use it specifically when talking about women, there's a problem there. Hey, everybody can be a little bitchy.
And you do not, like, you can't say that these fence riders don't see what's going on online. They see how I've been treated by a lot of the people who I've said, no, I don't with you if you want this out of me. I don't with your politics. I don't like that. And by taking that hardline stance, they can see it. They can see it and they're like, I'm not fucking doing that. I'm going to dance. That's what I'm going to do. I'm going to fucking dance. I won the gracious award of lolcow of the year from somewhere. Unsurprisingly, the other lolcow was Hassan. Oh my God. Hassan is a lolcow.
Kaya, please just fucking go.
And that removed any amount of like, what is this out of my brain? I'm like, oh, they don't like progressive people. This is purely like a political decision.
Hate to break it to you, Ian, but people don't hate you because you're a liberal. They hate you because you're a lying scumbag. You weren't transparent about taking massive profit margins from your supposed charity boxing event. You spent 2 days calling an Iranian man a liar for saying that America is more free than Iran.
People singing and dancing like on the street, it just feels weird because if you do that in Iran, like they can arrest you. You know that?
For dance? Like this, like
such a big fat lie. Yeah, dude. Shit is.
At any point, Ian could have just looked up the law. He doesn't. He'd rather slander them. This is why people hate you. You don't do any research. You just slander them because of your own insecurities. It's so much projection.
I think people need to stop getting so f***ing defensive over, you know, just acknowledging that someone's part of the pipeline, it doesn't mean that you're the shittiest person online. I would hang out with Moist Critical 1,000 times over all of the people further down the pipeline. Like, you know, and I think he has the capability of changing, right?
Show an example of him making pipeline content then. He doesn't. I genuinely think Ian has no...
It's the same thing I was saying about Hassan. It's speaking in these absolutes without any actual examples of, like, just singular instances of it happening, like, at all.
idea what kind of content Charlie makes. He says he's being empathetic, but he's just being a moron.
Like, I'm even still being empathetic Idubbbz. I actually should have a lot more heat for people like Asmongold and Charlie. Because it's so fucking obvious. Like, I have so much heat because it's like, you know what you're fucking doing. You know what you're doing. You guys are being fucking rats. You're being like unprincipled rats.
Please just show us how. This stream is 5 hours long. He never gives an example.
You see, most people see the writing on the wall. It's just the loud assholes on YouTube that create an illusion of Idubbbz bad. Yeah. And that's also what Isaac was saying. You know, he's interacted with so many people like in person that are like, you know, when I mention you, they're like, oh, awesome. Like, cool. You know, what's Idubbbz up to? You know, nothing, basically only, you know, neutral to positive or whatever.
Yo, how's Idubbbz been kicking it? What's he been up to? Yo, has Idubbbz been getting down? That's like what people usually say when talking in relation to me.
It's the silent minority that loves Idubbbz. Finally, someone points out that Ian is just unfamiliar with Charlie's content. And he admits that he is, but he also simultaneously doubles down.
First time I'm able to catch your live stream. I'm gonna ask what your Moist Critical take was early in the stream, though. I had to wait because I'm new to the stream. Sorry, I thought Charlie condemned Palestine, condemned ICE for the Alex Brady incident, and routinely says that Trump administration is covering pedophiles. Is Charlie right-wing? I've been watching his content for years and thought he aligned with you and Hassan most of the time. I mean, he might do it most of the time. I'm not exactly sure.
Then why are you making up all of this about him? You know what? Ian has changed. He's changed for the worse. In the span of only 2 days, Ian has lied about Charlie's content while admitting to not watching it. He's doubled down on his slanderous content cop video and is now collaborating with people who also make slanderous videos. But remember, it's everyone else who should change, not him.
And I think he has the capability of changing, right? I will say, though, like, I don't think a lot of them are quite as, I don't think a lot of them have developed their woke mind as much as me.
When he's throwing that right hand, this is when Idubbbz unlocked his woke mind.
I love my girlfriend, and I'm totally fine with dudes jacking off the pictures of her on the internet. This is the most intelligent thing I've probably ever done. I don't think a lot of them have developed their woke mind as much as me.
It's CTE, man. Get help. That'll do it for today's video. If you enjoyed, subscribe to the channel. And shout out to the homies over on Patreon. Crimson Glass Ritter, Christina.
It's really something, isn't it? I mean, it's just becoming an ideologue, right? And that's all it really is. He has become an ideologue, and he's just going to follow suit with everybody else that does the same thing. I feel like it isn't that. It makes sense. But yes, Gabby Hanna did release this. It's 2.5 hours long, so I'm going to have to check this out offline maybe, and maybe get some clips from it, or maybe we'll watch it on a separate stream and just do like a 5-hour stream checking out the whole thing. But Gabby Hanna, full uncut Trisha Paytas burnout with Gabby Hanna.
Like, it happened, you know what I mean?
Oh, they don't even have the mic footage. They literally just released the video recording with that audio. Interesting.
Action you're finding, and like, I'm excited to see where you go, because I think there's no place to go but up for you.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, you're very positive. What you're saying in the kitchen, I was like, oh, you're so positive.
Only now.
Only now. I love 20.
Yes. Maybe now too. But yes, let's get into
what happens
it.
in online.
I skimmed around a bit, just trying to look for a good picture of, like, a still of him for the thumbnail. And from what I've gathered, it doesn't seem like he talks too much about Trump's video that he posted. And there is the conversation towards the end about aliens, very briefly. But I do think overall, it's interesting the perspective that Obama holds here, because, like, he got a lot of criticism, rightfully so, for the way that he handled immigration, because I don't know if he specifically, like, it was like his main thing he was running on, but it was like reformation, like a form of reforming the immigration policies at hand, was something that he had talked about that didn't end up happening, and was the reason that they called him deporter in chief, and, you know, all of that. So it is a little interesting to hear his perspectives on that, but also what he's trying to express is that even though many people will agree, we actually just got a thumbnail. Thumbnail's up. But what he's trying to express is that people in America do want secured borders, and they do see immigrants differently than the American people just inherently. But it is about the ways in which we deal with immigrants and immigration as a whole, and making sure that the policies that we have in place are productive and actually move towards a positive end with productive means, rather than just acting destructively in a hopes to just push as many people out as possible. But we'll hear what he has to say fully here. This is Barack Obama breaks silence on Trump's ape video, Bad Bunny, and the 2028 election. Yeah, that's when deportations got reclassified, and many deportations under Obama where people turned away at the border. That is true, but there was still a level of reform that wasn't met, that is the general critique. And again, that's when you get into you could get lost in the weeds there talking about the ways in which things could have been handled differently, the ways in which they were handled. But I think that in total, we can see that he's at least trying to speak about the policies and not just speaking from a partisan perspective at the very, which I think is refreshing in some way. I very recently started watching this guy. The Obama interview was excellent timing for me. Yeah, it's I like Brian Tyler Cohen. There's a few times I've seen him in debates where it feels like he's just trying to get the gotcha, which, I mean, to be fair, is kind of the way to play debates. But let's just get into it and see what they have to say.
It is my honor to be joined by the 44th President of the United States, Barack Obama. Mr. President, thanks so much for joining me.
It is wonderful to be here, Brian. Thank you for having me.
So as you know, better than anybody, the discourse has devolved into a level of cruelty that we haven't seen before.
I'm going to slow down just a little bit. Obama is kind of a slow speaker, so I'm going to keep it at 1.25 speed.
For what was disqualifying just a few years ago now not only feels fine, acceptable, but actually rewarded. You have administration officials saying that the victims of...
I think we should see more about penalties for companies that are hiring illegal immigrants. I wish the Obama administration did more there. That's the one thing that I think is probably the most effective way to at least encourage proper citizen attempts at becoming a citizen, proper attempts at immigrating through other means. Because once you're here in the US, there are ways that you can retain it's not citizenship, sorry, I'm very inequipped at speaking about immigration policy. I've barely started researching just the history of within the last few years of the changes that have been made. But you understand what I'm saying, that there are means for people that are illegal immigrants to become legal citizens, and they need to figure out ways to encourage that rather than just forcing deportations because it affects communities, industries, and individuals. So we need to figure out ways to just make it happen effectively and quickly. Yeah, go through the immigration process. I literally could not think of the way. Yeah, pathway to citizenship. Thank you. There's so many proper ways to say it, and I literally just couldn't think of a singular one at all. I'm lucky to have had Clinton, Obama, and Biden as my president. I am equally unlucky to have had Bush and especially Trump. And I think it is fair to say that all presidents are bad. Again, it is all just about the lesser of two evils at the end of the day. It sucks to say, but it's about ways in which the people can have the most impact on the government, not who is like the strongest man to lead. But I mean, like, if you look at like Obama, like one of the big criticisms for Obama, I think, is also like interesting to talk about in a modern context because of the like what's happening in Venezuela and the removal of Maduro, when thinking about the way that Obama had like an impact in Gaddafi and Libya, and you know, the removal and, you know, death of Gaddafi in that way, and then the destabilization of Libya from there, and you know, the ongoing issues that it's had since. And so I think that it's interesting again to look at the impacts that had in relation to the ways that Trump is trying to enact unilateral decisions because of like the effects that we've seen in the past, even in presidents that we might more appreciate, like Obama. Yeah, I agree. There are criticism to have for Biden and Obama. It's just now that the Republican Party isn't even a serious party anymore, and they're unhinged. Yeah, and I think that's like the part that sucks the most. Is because I want to just be able to have valid criticisms for everybody, but how do I have valid criticisms when you have like Pam Bondi fucking screaming, being like, "How dare you!" Like, what are we doing? What are we doing? He called like I'd have to pull up the clip. It's too much of a side tangent. Pam Bondi got called out for lying under oath. It was Pam Bondi, right? I might be misquoted. I might be completely wrong here. I'm pretty sure it was Pam Bondi. Was called out for lying under oath and then just had like an outburst being like, "How dare you!" Chill out. Yeah, Democrats are way better. It's not even close to me. Trust me, I'm on the same boat as you. I'm not trying to sway you in the opposite direction. Don't get me wrong. Yeah, the scale is way, way skewed with the evil shit Trump is pulling. And honestly, I've been seeing some theories that I kind of I'm starting to believe about Trump's appointments. The ways that the people that he has appointed into different positions, because like we're seeing people come out in the Epstein files. Is it all just a blackmailing ring? It's all just for the blackmail at the end of the day?
ISIS aggression or domestic terrorists. You have.
But here, let me start it again from the beginning. We were only 20 seconds in. But this is a Barack Obama break silence.
President, thanks so much for joining me.
It is wonderful to be here, Brian. Thank you for having me.
So as you know, better than anybody, the discourse has devolved into a level of cruelty that we haven't seen before. What was disqualifying just a few years ago now not only feels fine, acceptable, but actually rewarded. You have administration officials saying that the victims of ISIS aggression or domestic terrorists, you have J.D. Vance coming out and saying that it's okay, you don't have to apologize for being white. Just days ago, Donald Trump put a picture of your face on an ape's body. And so again, this is kind of, we've seen the de-evolution.
Yeah, he laughed at that. It almost seemed like he didn't know that was a thing. Like he hadn't heard.
Your face on an ape's body. And so
he's like, he like laughs at it at first, but then you see him immediately go like, wait, what?
Again, this is kind of.
It was that second slow blink. He goes, huh.
A picture of your face on an ape's body. And so again, this is kind of, we've seen the de-evolution of the discourse. How do we come back from a place that we have fallen into?
Well, first of all, I think it's important to recognize that the majority of the American people find this behavior deeply troubling. It is true that it gets attention. It's true that it's a distraction. But as I'm traveling around the country, as you're traveling around the country, you meet people. They still believe in decency, courtesy, kindness.
Why aren't these cameras on tripods? Why are they just like holding these cameras?
And
this one's on a tripod. They couldn't get Obama a tripod?
There's this sort of clown show that's happening in social media and on television. And what is true is that there doesn't seem to be any shame about this among people who used to feel like you had to have some sort of decorum and a sense of propriety and respect for the office, right? So that's been lost. But the reason I point out that I don't think the majority of the American people approve of this is because ultimately the answer is going to come from the American people. And
I mean, we're going to see hopefully a shift in the midterms. And that's kind of like what we're hoping for, because then that will be like the evidence to express to those that are so lost. It'll help bring some people back. Because the people's, like, you know, the people's voice does matter, and it does sway, you know, the people sway the people at the end of the day. The problem is how many people are so, like, that are already so far gone is the problem.
We just saw this in Minnesota, in Minneapolis. It is important for us to recognize the...
Yeah, no way Republicans are keeping majority in Congress. Because it's a pretty slim majority right now, right? I see that swinging pretty easily.
Unprecedented nature of what ICE was doing in Minneapolis, St. Paul, the way that...
Yeah, it's 218 to 214. It's pretty narrow. And then in the Senate, it's 53 to 47, which is a bit greater. Not by much, though, but in comparison to the amount, to the total. But yeah, Democrats have been sweeping in local elections. Well, wait till Deaf Noodles comes up. Wait till you see how Deaf Noodles... You haven't heard about all the quiet Republicans in LA. Just wait and see.
Federal agents, ICE agents, were being deployed without any clear guidelines, training, pulling people off, out of their homes, using 5-year-olds to try to
bait their
parents.
Yeah.
All the stuff that we saw, tear gassing.
Yeah, because that's the thing, is it's disgusting because that story gets twisted in so many different ways. The father was taken into custody by ICE, and so was his son. In the moment, they tried to get the mother to come out, so being like, hey, come get your son, come on. And so you can twist that and be like, oh, she just left her son out there. She doesn't even care about him. And it's like, clearly they're using him, a child, as bait, and that is disgusting. And you should be against that regardless of the reality of their citizen status, like their immigrant status. That it's just completely irrelevant to that topic. That part should be separate and should be seen as wrong. Dennis the Menace is coming for Congress. That's how he should be promoting it. Like, that's how he should be putting himself out there. I'm Dennis the Menace. I'm here to shake things up.
Bait their parents. Yeah. All the stuff that we saw. Tear gassing crowds simply who were standing there, not breaking any laws. So the rogue behavior of agents of the federal government is deeply concerning and dangerous. But we should take a moment to appreciate the extraordinary outpouring of organizing, community building.
Did you watch the Sham Wow Guy's video called Woke Busters? Hardest watch of my life, and he's running for a political seat. He's coming for the woke. This is my reaction to hearing about Woke Busters.
Decency, neighbors buying groceries for folks, accompanying children to school, teachers who were standing up for their kids, not just randomly, but in a systematic, organized way. Citizens saying,
I like that he's just called the Sham Wow Guy. My God, that's so loud. Oh my God. Well, how is this on YouTube? What are you doing, Sham Wow Guy?
This is not the America we believe in, and we're going to fight back.
You're running for political office, and this is what you do? Disgusting.
And we're not just randomly, but
you're supposed to be a family channel. Sorry. I watched it through Bionic Pig, so I didn't give him a view. I might have just given him a view, but that whole thing just seemed a little. Ugh. I can't even put you guys through that.
In a systematic, organized way, citizens saying this is not the America we believe in, and we're going to fight back, and we're going to push back with the truth, and with cameras, and with peaceful protests, and shining a light on the sort of behavior that in the past we've seen.
Yes, his name's Vince Offer. Oh, he's Israeli? He's an Israeli American. I love that. All the photos of him are so creepy. What is this? Okay, so I saw this one. What happened? The ShamWow guy cleans up his act. I'm addicted to cleaner. His new product, Invincible. This article doesn't even reference. Okay, it's just a mugshot. It's just a 2009 mugshot. They didn't specify what it was for in this article. Is he Jewish? The OG clavicular? He was mogging back in the day. He was mogging before mogging was cool. Look at this mewing out the ass. He was sham maxing. He was wow maxing.
In authoritarian countries, and we've seen in
Sorry, let me go back just a second.
Shining a light on the sort of behavior that in the past.
He got in a fight with a sex worker he claimed tried to bite his tongue off. I mean that makes sense why he looks like that now. He does look a little worse for wear, you know. Just meth maxing. Well, that's looks maxing, right? That's what clavicular does. He's always meth maxing.
Cameras, and with peaceful protests, and shining a light on the sort of behavior that in the past we've seen in authoritarian countries, and we've seen in dictatorships, but we have not seen in America. And that kind of heroic, sustained behavior in sub-zero weather by ordinary people is what should give us hope, and it should remind us that at the end of the day, the way we get a democracy that's working, the way we get policies that actually are helping working families.
Well, I mean, it's like it's the half glass full versus the half glass empty, pessimist, optimist argument. You can look at the people celebrating either protests and having, time together, community building type of stuff afterwards as beautiful and see the beauty and humanity through it. But you can also pessimistically see the ways in which these people were forced into these positions, based on the overbearing government and economy and everything. So it's how we should look at it, sure, but I can definitely understand how people look at the same picture and get a very different view. Which is, I mean, it is necessary to talk about as well.
Get ahead. The way that we restore norms, rule of law, decency, it's going to be because we, citizens, are activated and paying attention and saying enough and saying, we have a different.
And I guess that's a good point. Is the activation can come from either, though, a pessimistic or optimistic view on, the hope for humanity is probably what would be the thing to activate, regardless of which viewpoint you're viewing it from.
For an idea of what the American family should look like and community should look like, and that is what I'm seeing across the.
Why choose to look at it negatively when you can when the good can inspire hope and change. Well, it's not that we should look at things pessimistically, but I think that it's necessary to acknowledge that the pessimistic perspective is still part of our reality. You know what I mean? We can look at things optimistically so far that we don't even look at the negatives that are done to us, all of the ways in which we are harmed, if we want a true optimistic, outlook. And that's why I think that it's necessary to have, to look at the holistic view of the ways in which we're living. And we should hold the hope regardless of our viewpoint, because hope stands without facts, without evidence. Hope can stand without anything. I can hope for a better future even when I've seen nothing but death and destruction. Unfortunate freeze frame.
The board. So, I was on a panel a while back, and I said, a lot of the values that we say we subscribe to, during easy times, during peaceful times, it's easy to say we believe in those things.
Right, when they're not challenged.
When they're not challenged. It's easy to believe in free speech when it doesn't seem like the government's trying to crack down on free speech. It's easy to say that we believe in the golden rule when we aren't at risk of being arrested when we exercise the golden rule.
Yeah.
Right now we're being tested. And the good news is what we saw in Minneapolis and St. Paul, and what we're seeing in places across the country, including here in Los Angeles, has been the American people saying, no, you know what, at least a good number of the American people saying we're going to live up to those values that we say we believe in. And as long as we have folks doing that, I feel like we're going to get through this.
So I hear and appreciate what you're saying about the agency of individuals. As we look toward our elected officials, our democratic leaders, I think something that I've been having a lot of trouble reconciling is for so long it's felt like Democrats are solely focused on protecting norms, institutions, processes, and then you've got a Republican Party that sees what it wants and will find a way to get it. Laws be damned, Constitution be damned, rules be damned. And we're seeing that play out right now. And so, given this massive asymmetry, where it often leaves us feeling like it's a Lucy pulling the football away from Charlie Brown over and over and over again situation, what needs to be done? And do you think that our Democratic leadership and our Democratic elected officials understand that for the first time?
Well, look, I think we have to acknowledge that we've got the harder job, right? So we believe in government as a tool for good, as a potential force to create more jobs, and as a way to make sure that the planet doesn't roast, to make sure that as we move forward and the economy grows, that everybody and not just some are benefiting, and the kids are getting a good education. And what that means is that we have to think about the consequences of our actions. We have to try to figure out how do we get working majorities to actually pass laws and to implement those laws and to make things happen. Tearing stuff down doesn't require all that. So when you talk about Republicans, for example, it seems like they see what they want and they just go after it. Well, they've passed one significant piece of legislation since they've been, for all the hoopla. They haven't actually codified and institutionalized much of anything. They have poured a huge amount of money into ICE and their immigration agenda.
It is just kicking the can down the road, right, is kind of the issue. And I think that's kind of what a lot of people have said, is that it's not necessarily because a lot of people want to argue, oh, you're against ICE, so you just want immigrants to come in and roam free and have no ability to actually document anybody. And it's just such I don't know how you truly do argue with that. I don't know.
Huge amount of money into ICE and their immigration agenda. And they've cut taxes for really wealthy people. And now they're trying to unravel a bunch of rules and norms and laws that are already in place. That's an easier job. So I say that because we should accept the responsibility and the challenge that our job's going to be a little bit harder. Because in order for us to get stuff done, like let's say the Affordable Care Act, well, we've got to cobble together a majority. and we've got to persuade, and we've got to convince. And so I do think that there's been some unwillingness on the part.
I think it's worse than kicking the can. They're doing irreparable damage. That's their intent, to make sure we never fully recover. Well, I think that's the thing, is the kicking the can down the road is just it's the piece that they're doing while allowing all of these other things to like fall apart, basically. It's kicking the can down the road as that can is slowly like falling apart piece by piece. It's already lost both the lids and it's slowly unraveling and just going to become a flat piece of tin soon.
Part of Democrats in the past to break down some of the institutional barriers for us getting stuff done, just because, well, it's always been done that way. And I'll give you an example that frustrated the heck out of me when I was president, which was the filibuster in the Senate. The Senate is already structurally skewed and anti-majoritarian, right? It's hard for majorities to get stuff done, whether it's trying to pass civil rights legislation in the 60s or trying to get gun control legislation or what have you, because even though majority people support it, Delaware and Wyoming have the same number of senators as California, right? All right, so that would require a constitutional amendment. You then compound that with a filibuster, and the truth is that Democrats for some time have been traditionalists in wanting to preserve that, when it blocks us from making government effective, which in turn makes people feel like government is corrupt and not caring about them.
Which lends itself
to the kind of, it gives folks like Trump an opening, right? So
I think Obama has had more substance in this interview than Trump has in both of his terms. It is just so refreshing to hear a politician, a career politician, speak with like, not just like an understanding of what they're talking about, but also like a grace for the other side as well. Like he's not speaking down on anybody and is truly just trying to outline like the truths of like the world we're living in. Like he hasn't said anything negatively about Trump. I mean, he literally laughed when Brian brought up the ape video.
Districting.
So like, it is just refreshing to see somebody like Obama. And Obama made the cool. Let's not forget about that. Obama made going, listen here, we gotta do a lot.
It gives folks like Trump an opening, right? So redistricting is another good example of where I strongly believe we should not be having politicians draw lines that determine who's voting for them. We should have voters decide who their politicians are. And I've worked with Eric Holder to help set up the terrific work that the NDRC has been doing to try to make sure that we have fair maps. But the fact that Governor Newsom here in California and others said, well, if they're going to try to gerrymander their way out of losing this upcoming midterm, then we're going to respond. And we're going to respond in a lawful way where we put it up to a referendum and let people decide and not just give away the store because of traditions. That was the right response. So I do think that I don't want us to simply duplicate the behavior of the other side. I don't want us to have a slash and burn strategy where we don't care about rule of law.
Honestly, you don't see this that often. Trying to actually counteract the rubber band effect is honestly something that probably needs to be talked about more, because it is always that go so far to one side that we rubber band back, get shot back to the other side, and then get shot back to the other, and it just keeps going infinitely to these ever growing extremes. And so it is like necessary to like kind of talk about that in the ways that we try and like enact change, because trying to come at it forcefully and like with aggression is obviously just going to end up repeating the cycle. It's going to feed into that cycle that's always happened. He talks like pilots on the walkie-talkie system. He does. That is the Obama cadence.
Law we don't care about some of the guardrails around our democracy, we start lying and having no regard for the truth the way the other side seems to be comfortable with right now. Because if that's how we fight, then we lose what we're fighting for. But that doesn't mean we have to get punked or be saps. And I do, or to cling to traditions just for the sake of tradition. I think what we have to continually evaluate is, in this moment in time, how do we make sure that we can advance our agenda in a way that reflects what's good for ordinary folks, not special interests, not simply the well-to-do, and how do we do that in a way that's consistent with integrity, honesty, democracy, the values that we claim to want to uphold. And I think it's possible to...
Yeah, it's called being principled, and it can be hard. That's so true. It really is just the fact that people cannot stand by their principles when confronted not just by money, but by, like, you know, the sway of individuals. Like, because it is interesting, because obviously Def Noodles was trying to play the part as best as he could just by saying, I do whatever the people want. But, like, in reality, politicians aren't just supposed to listen to everybody and do it, because then we would just have a true democracy. We wouldn't have, like, a republic. We would just go, every individual gets one vote. But the reason we have elected officials is because we're trying to figure out ways that we can enact change for the betterment of the individuals, for people, for the masses. And, like, we forget about that. We forget about the true nature of politics.
To do that. But the reason I started with reminding ourselves, yes, we have a harder job, because sometimes I think we're tough on Democrats, saying, why aren't you being as mean and tough and nasty as they are? Well, you know, it's you know, when I was president of the United States,
Yeah, they're representatives, not caretakers. They shouldn't just... that's the thing, is I think it's multifaceted. They shouldn't be the ones to make the decision outright, but they also shouldn't be an individual just to tally votes or something. They are to advocate for their districts. But again, it's about... but that's the point, is what is that advocation? Because to advocate means to, like, stand behind the principles in which you are advocating for, or else you're not doing a good job at advocation at the very least. Because I guess that isn't necessarily needed for advocation, but you're going to do a shitty job at it. And so, like, to advocate properly, you would hope that they're able to sway the minds and hearts of others. I would love to feel represented again, yeah. If only.
Suppose I could have simply unilaterally ordered the...
We just have to wait for the next election. Lisa Simpson is going to be the next president coming up. We've already voted here 65%. That's a landslide.
Military to...
It's not really, but kind of.
Go into some red state and harass and intimidate a governor there, or cut off funding for states that didn't vote for me. I could have exercised that prerogative, but that is contrary to how I think our democracy is supposed to work. And I think we shouldn't get discouraged by the fact that we have a tougher job. What we should do is expect that our side is smart enough to figure it out.
So you had mentioned persuasion, and I think that that's a really good point here, because as we eventually head toward a next general election cycle, we're going to be contending with a lot of the same infighting that's plagued Democrats before. You'll often have leftists and progressives butting up against liberals and moderates. And look, you are the ultimate pragmatist, and so...
it is just so annoying how like divisive it can be, because of how, like, collective the Republican Party, at least, positions themselves. They clearly have a similar level of infighting. They just don't label it as such. There are people now that say, I'm not a Republican, I'm MAGA. Like, there are people that say that, but, like, it's just so, like, there almost feels like a level of redundancy at times, and it just boggles the mind.
what advice do you have as we head toward this election cycle, this eventual 2028 election cycle, so that we don't devolve into the same, 2016 era Bernie Hillary redux that feels like it always consumes the left?
Well, look, first of all, I think it's important to remember that the divisions in the Democratic Party tend to get magnified.
Yeah, I'm a Trumpocrat. It's me, I'm a Trumpocrat.
In the media. Relative to the divides that exist in most other countries, where you have a parliamentary system, you have multiple parties, and you got Green Party, and you got the center left party, and you've got a socialist party, and sometimes you got a communist party. Our differences get exaggerated. Listen, Bernie Sanders believes, just like Nancy Pelosi believes, just like Chuck Schumer believes, just like Hakeem Jeffries believes, just like AOC believes, in equality and non-discrimination against people because of race or gender or sexual orientation. Well, all Democrats believe in that. That's a core value. Democrats believe that government should...
Yes, they all get in line, but on the left, they're a more diverse thought, which is great, but can also be a hindrance. There are pros and cons. Yeah, I don't think the diversity of thought is the issue. I think it's the division that is drawn from the diversity of thought. Because like he was saying before, it's like it's the problem. The problem is infighting, not holding a different position than somebody else, because we should be able to agree on the commonalities, not our differences. Obviously, there's going to be positions that we oppose each other on. Like, that's just the nature of humanity. That's the nature of our reality. We all think differently.
Provide a strong safety net for people when they're down on their luck. I just think I do think that the problem comes from people like Hassan, who act like the differences matter more than our similarities is the thing. Because obviously the differences do matter, but they do not matter more than the things that can bring us together. People because of race or gender or sexual orientation. Well, all Democrats believe in that. That's a core value. Democrats believe that government should provide a strong safety net for people when they're down on their luck. Everybody I just mentioned believes in that. Everybody believes that there should be some regulation of the market so that you don't have monopolies.
But that's the thing, is some people will argue, no, a totally free market, even though they don't believe that. It is incredible, the amount of people. It's just... Because, yeah, I guess on the right, they're more willing to fall in line. And on the left, it's like they're going to be more boisterous about their opinions. And that is what ends up drawing the division later on. And it's definitely a hard topic for sure. Like, how do we handle this?
Oligopolies that are simply dictating the terms of the economy, and that we should have a tax system that levels out some of the inequalities that result. So I think it's important for us to remind ourselves as a starting point, what do we have in common? Most of the time, the differences are tactical. Right? It has to do with, well, how much of a tax hike can people put up with? How much regulation should we be thinking about when it comes to climate change? And if we recognize that typically the arguments in the Democratic Party aren't about core values, but are really around tactics and how do you get stuff done, now we can have a robust debate. And I want a robust debate.
Yeah.
And what we can also do is not try to nationalize every issue all the time. Right?
Can we let Obama run another time? He's only like in his 60s. He's not, comparatively to the other people running, he's still a spry young man. You know, I'm against a third term. I don't want Obama to run. But like, god damn, if we're gonna let Trump do it, can it at least be Trump versus Obama? Can those be the third term? Who gets the third term? Trump versus Obama. That's what I want to see. Like, if we're gonna get one, right? If we're gonna get one third term, can it be Obama instead? Yeah, I doubt he. I think he can see ways in which like things can be improved, but trying to fix what has been so greatly broken is definitely a feat for any man, any woman, any person. I'm using man in the general sense for everybody.
This last off-year election, I think, was a great example. You've got a candidate like Spanberger in Virginia, who runs what would be considered a more centrist campaign, and runs a terrific campaign. And then you've got Mamdani in New York, who runs a explicitly socialist grassroots campaign and excites and mobilize folks, and that can win in New York City. It probably could not win in Virginia, and that's okay. That's healthy.
Yeah.
And sometimes
I mean, that is kind of the theory around, and I'm not saying theory as in conspiracy theory. I mean theory as in like political theory. That is like the whole idea of having a United States, right? As opposed to, it's like because they each retain a level of independency while still having oversight from a greater government. Like that is the point, is that where nobody's going to agree. So let's figure out a way to get the most general, like some general things across the board, like slavery. Let's get rid of that. Like women can't vote. Let's let them vote. Kids in factories, probably unnecessary. We can figure out ways to improve, I think.
I think we get into arguments. A recent one, this idea that the quote-unquote abundance agenda is somehow a sellout, and folks on the left getting exercised because, this is part of this sort of corporate Democrats trying to, take over the party. Well, no, not really. What I think it is entirely legitimate to say, for example, we need to build more affordable housing, which is going to require higher taxes on people like me and people who are well off in order to subsidize the construction of affordable housing, let's say in a place like California, and also be able to say, you know what, there are a bunch of well-intentioned rules and zoning laws and so forth that baby boomers like me and existing homeowners have used to block the construction of affordable housing, even in democratic cities. And so if we want to actually deliver housing rather than...
I think it was a bad instance to say like me, because he was saying baby boomers again, but it almost made it seem like he is the one doing this with his properties.
Have some abstract argument, then we got to figure out not an either or of do we spend more money or do we reform some of these things that are preventing the construction of affordable housing. We have to do both. And I want us...
Well, and that's the thing, because people would want, like, there's two camps that would want it to go in either way, and so he's right. It's finding somewhere in the fucking middle. It's just ridiculous. So when you hear it laid out so simply, and people want to argue that fact, James Charles Billboard was removed. Time for war. H3 show number 235. Say, James, I hear you text him young.
To have those arguments. And one last thing I think that's I've noticed in a lot of our internal arguments, a lot of which, by the way, are taking place online, and ordinary voters, this is all completely off their radar screen. Yeah. One of the things I think it's important for Democrats, for us also to recognize, progressives to recognize, folks on the left.
I actually like that because it felt honest. He wasn't pandering, going, I'm one of you guys. He's acknowledging his standing. Yeah, no, it made sense when he was talking about the wealthy and he's talking about people in just higher positions in society. And I understood that, but it was just the way the phrasing on the second part definitely made it sound like he was saying that he prevents affordable housing based on his properties that he owns. I know that's not what he meant, and he was just referencing himself as a baby boomer, saying that it's people around my age, people in my, like, you know, people exactly like me. Not me particularly. Maybe he is performing affordable housing. Obama, tell us about the aliens.
To recognize, it's possible for us to have a moral sense of what is right and true and what needs to be done, and also recognize that we are in a particular time and place here in America, and voters are not going to agree with us 100% on everything. And so it is not a sellout, it's not a betrayal to say that we're going to shape our agenda and our message in a way that allows us to build a working majority to get stuff done. And I think particularly around social issues, sometimes we get confused around this. You witness what happened in Minneapolis, and you say to yourself, morally speaking, that 5-year-old child who's standing in front of that SUV as his father's being dragged off, that child is equal to mine or any child. His immigration status, his nationality does not change the love and decency that we should be showing that child. But what is also true is that we're a nation of laws, we have borders, and we've got to figure out an immigration policy that is orderly and that is fair and is enforced in a sensible way that is compatible with our values, but may not fully capture the degree to which that kid should have the same chances in life as a U.S. citizen kid. But, we've got to accommodate the reality that the majority of the American people think that there's a difference between somebody who's a U.S. citizen and somebody who's not, and that they want an orderly immigration system. And sometimes I think what happens in the online debate is if somebody suggests, well, we have to have some immigration enforcement, then somebody's going to point at that child and say, well, so you don't care about that kid,
Yeah.
so you must be a bad person. The same would be true, let's say, here in Los Angeles around the homeless issue. I think morally, ethically speaking, it is an atrocity that in a country this wealthy, we have people just on the streets. And we should have we should insist on policies that recognize.
I think that that's a fair stance to hold, is that we shouldn't, because I've said this before too, is that as outsiders, people that are looking in on a situation, we should not be the emotional ones and should be able to look at things logically and be able to speak about the actual issues at hand. And so it is easy when you see something happening to a child to become emotional. But it's important not to just point out, oh, look at they arrested this kid, they took him into custody, because other kids are taken into custody in the same way in similar ways. That one was pretty bad, but in similar ways to that. And oh my God, I completely lost my train of thought. The problem comes from something like using the child as bait, or the ways in which they retain the info, or they acquired the info to get this immigrant, something like that. Yeah, no kid should be arrested. But that brings in the question, they shouldn't be arrested, but that's the whole thing, is the kid wasn't put in handcuffs. He was taken in one of the cruisers to McDonald's or something. At least that's what they said, is they took him to McDonald's and then took him to custody. And those places are bad. Those are bad enough, and we can talk about that. But I get what Obama's trying to say about the ways in which we are impacted by the news that we intake. And we need to make sure that we're kind of a little bit more thoughtful with our reactions to try and come to an actual resolution, rather than just kind of calling people out that will make no change. Because you can call people pieces of shit all day and be like, look at you, you scumbag, you idiot, you look what you're doing to these children. Look at the conditions that they're in these facilities. And you can speak to them like that all day and no one's going to listen. It's about the ways in which you discuss these topics that is going to make the change.
Recognize their full humanity.
Sorry, I lost it there, but I caught it. I lost it, and then it was over here, and I went. And you know what they say? I clicked the wrong one. It's the news. I clicked the wrong one. Oopsie. It was a mistake. This one's a little long. It does work for the news, though. Continue, Obama.
People who houseless and be able to provide them the help and resources that they need. But we should also recognize that the average person, doesn't want.
We've spent 10 years trying to reach across the aisle. Oh God, we can't go another episode without Dan. We might have to. He's still stuck in that game, I think. We've spent 10 years trying to reach across the aisle. I agree with you that it has been a long... I mean, you could say longer than that. You could probably argue that, like, since the... I'd say post-civil rights movement. There's been an attempt to, like, kind of calm things down and reach across the aisle more in a calmer manner. But it is just the issue with everybody is going to, like, hyperfixate on the most outrageous individuals. And it comes like on both sides. We are focusing on this instance of this child being arrested because of the, like, news surrounding it, when, like I just said, there are too many to count in custody already in these facilities. And in the same way, we're going to see the right is going to see the people on the left shouting the loudest. And I've always said this, that it's always the vocal minority, you know what I mean? It's always the smallest group that screams the loudest. And we do need to remember that when trying to, like, when we become emotional in these ways based upon, like, things that we're seeing online. Because it's easy to become, like, emotionally swayed by a lot of, like, the vitriol that's spit online. I'd say independents and moderates being reached matters more than reaching across the aisle. And I think that's the big part, yeah. The right has been so unreasonable, it's hard. And that's why people like Hassan are a big issue, because he is, like, quite literally pushing away all the people that are in the middle, all the independents and moderates. Like, it's literally what Idubbbz said. Oh, why do you even want these people in your community? You should explicitly state that anybody that comes into your community has to align with you ideologically 100%, or else you have to completely move on. It is weird. It's just, it's unproductive. At the very least, it's unproductive.
I'm gonna have to navigate around a tent city in the middle of downtown, and that we're not going to be able to build a working majority and support for the resources that we need to help folks like that, whether it's drug treatment or temporary housing or what have you. We're not going to be able to generate support for it if we simply say, you know what, it's not their fault, and so they should be able to do whatever they want, because that's a losing political strategy. That doesn't mean that we care less about those folks. It means if we really care about them, then we got to try to figure out how do we gain majority support. And
here's a pretty quick stat that I think helps represent this. I'm still open, but I don't think this administration represents the entire right. But it's literally 50% of the right that is sycophantic or full throttle supporting Trump. And I think that one of the main problems is this: the right has captured the Christian voting pool, and as of 2023, 2024, approximately 62% to 65% of American adults identify as Christian. In terms of total population, this translates to roughly 162 million to 235 million people. And I don't think that all of those people vote Republican, but then 53% of that, 53% of those majority churchgoers identify as pro-life. And this is coming from two different studies, so we could probably skew that dependently. There's probably we'll call it 45% even. That's still a large group of people that are voting for Trump purely based on, like, the single issue. Like, I imagine there's a lot of single issue voters in that regard. You know what I mean? Some of them are starting to wake up, though. Yeah, I think that there is becoming a bit of a shift that's necessary and should produce some kind of change, hopefully for the better. I'm just going to say some kind of change.
and be practical in terms of what we can get through at this moment in time and build on those victories. That a lot of times is the arguments that are taking place, but they become sort of performative, and people start saying, oh, you're selling out, or conversely, I think sometimes folks at the center say, you're being impractical and dismissing legitimate critiques and concerns. And what we need to be able to do is to maintain both ideas at the same time, which is our long-term goals have to be driven by our values and our core beliefs and our ethics and our morals, and the sense that every person counts. And short-term, we got to win elections.
Right.
And anyway, the good news is, I think that the folks that we are fighting.
I'm a Christian who votes blue and is pro-life. See, that is interesting too, because I guess you probably have like a bit more of like a nuanced scientific understanding of like the start of life and stuff. You know what I mean? Like I imagine you probably can understand some, like that whole idea. But I do think that's probably a part of it at the very least. There are some pro-life libs. It's definitely uncommon, but it's, again, I mean, everybody's pro-life at the end of the day, right? I'm not anti-life. What the hell? I mean, pro-choice, sorry. Well, like I'm saying, I think that there are some Christians who just at the very, like, just accept science. And so they can still retain like a pro-life stance, but you would still want those carve-outs for things like, atopic pregnancies and things that would cause immediate, death to the mother or child. I nearly got heated when you said pro-life. Because like I'm saying, I think that we can agree, right, that there's at least a conversation to be had about the restrictions that we have about up until birth, because about abortions up until birth, because about the complications that can be involved in that, like, as well. So like I feel like there's definitely a conversation about at which points do we consider an abortion valid. Republicans have run the trans issue through the ground and spread so much misinformation. It's gotten even some moderates up in arms. Yeah, that's another big one. And again, I think that also, I don't think is entirely Christian focused, but I do think that there are Christians that believe in that kind of stuff too, where they think that, oh, trans people are destroying the sanctity of what it means to be a man and a woman, and then they talk about gay marriage and be like, oh, there's a marriage between a man and a woman. People, it does always just kind of, it keeps moving down the line into these other things. Yeah, you can be pro-life, I think, morally, and not a psycho, but also, not a psycho also, and still be pro-abortion access. Yeah, that's the whole thing, is it's like, it's not necessarily about just saying, oh, free abortions for everybody, whatever. It's just about having abortion access for those that have, like, where there is a necessity. Because there is obvious necessities because even if you want to talk about, I personally don't care about first trimester, even into second trimester. Third trimester is when I start having the conversation about, again, like there is still atopic pregnancies, things that can go wrong during birth, that again, complications and stuff like that. So there are still instances when it matters, but the third trimester, I think, is when we start getting more into the gray area and when the conversation actually starts. But people that are just saying the first trimester is when you need to hold sanctity for life, it does feel like are just a little lost on the conceptualization of conception.
Fighting politically, the current White House, this administration, and their enablers, they're behaving so badly. They're doing such crazy.
Yeah, there are bills in states like mine here in Texas where it's outlawed after 6 weeks. Yeah, see, and that's like, you don't even know you're pregnant sometimes at 6 weeks. Like, you literally will find out you're pregnant like around that time. It's fucking like insane. Like, and see, that's just like when it's just, it makes no sense. It makes no sense.
Crazy stuff. That it shouldn't be hard for our side to coalesce around the areas where we agree on and focus on that. And
yeah, in a perfect world, there would be no abortions. Nobody wants abortions. See, I think that's like the thing is the right is swayed by a very, very small percentage of people that do go, I don't care about children. I'm going to have an abortion because I don't care. I don't give a fuck. Like, people talk like that. And most of the time, those people have never, like, don't have kids, don't want kids, have never been pregnant. That is like a lot of the time where it's coming from as well. But I have heard people speak just very flagrantly about abortions. And a lot of it does come from, again, it's like that rubber band effect. They're hearing the right speak so aggressively about abortions, calling it murder, saying women are murderers and this and that. And you want to rubber band snap back at them and, you know, talk your shit. But it comes across in this negative light because of the context. Yeah, the right thinks people enjoy it. And that's the thing is, yeah, a majority of people, no, not in any way. Again, it's the vocal minority that everybody hones in on and then acts as though they are the majority for the opposition.
And I think that,
yeah, meanwhile they're heartless towards living children. It's pro-life up until you're born. Once you're born, feed them to the wolves. Feed them to the rich even. They don't seem to care about that much either.
You know, that is going to happen if we are effective in winning the midterms. If we then have a robust primary for who's going to be the next Democratic president, we shouldn't be afraid of having a robust debate. I want all comers to sort this out. I benefited from having about as grueling a primary as I could have. It made me a better candidate. It ultimately made me a better president because I had been tested. My ideas had been tested. The story I was telling about America had been tested. And that's what we should be looking for, rather than expecting that somehow we're going to all come up with some consensus blueprint master plan that everybody's going to execute. You know, Democrats aren't good at doing that anyway.
Yeah. Well, I think, you know, one block of voters who I think there has been particular focus paid to right now is young voters. And, you know, you were able to mobilize a generation of young voters in a way that hadn't been done before. I got involved in politics because of you. And in fact, a lot of millennials, folks my age, got involved in politics because of you. Like, when I was a student, you could not find any other students on campus who were not supporting your campaign. Democrats and you had owned the cultural zeitgeist in a way that hadn't been done before, and frankly hasn't been done since. And we've seen a shift happen, obviously, from 2008, 2012 up to 2024. Right. And for the first time, we saw Democrats really lose their grip on culture in a way that hadn't happened before. And so what is your advice in terms of remobilizing a generation of Americans that we've had trouble mobilizing up to this point?
Well, look, part of it has to do with the fact that I was young.
Yeah. So maybe don't nominate octogenarians?
Well, look, I'm 64 now. I'm pretty healthy, 64. Feel great.
Yeah.
But
he's had a lot of acid reflux this interview, though. Maybe you need to go get that checked out, Obama.
The truth is, half of the references that my daughters make about social media, TikTok, etc., I don't know who they're talking about.
Yeah.
There is a element of, at some point, you age out. You're not connected directly to the immediate struggles that folks are going through. And so I'm not making a hard and fast rule here, but I do think that Democrats do well when we have candidates who are plugged into the moment, to the zeitgeist, to the times, and the particular struggles that folks are thinking about as
That's a good point, and that's exactly why Mamdani won. I mean, that's precisely the reason Mamdani won, and that's why a younger person usually, like Obama, not usually, there have been instances of people losing, obviously. I mean, Trump just won, so. But like Obama being young, that was literally like the whole thing. Like people loved the young president. All these people making, you know, all the people being like, "We love Obama." Was she? Yeah, the Obama girl. Everybody remembers the Obama girl. Remember shirtless Obama? Oh, these are old pictures. I want them young photos of shirtless Obama. Oh, look at him go. Here's him now. Looking pretty good.
They look towards the future rather than look backward toward the past. And
Obama reminds me so much of my dad. Was your dad the president? Interesting. Mum Donnie is also a mum daddy, handsome guy. Same with Obama. You know what they used to say? Obama for your mama. Truth.
and so some of it is choosing candidates who check that box. I do think that there is an element of joy that Democrats lost sometimes. Our campaign was fun. We had some, look, it wasn't always fun for me, but we built a community. We gave people a sense that if you are part of this, you're doing something meaningful. And it wasn't just talk. Young people ran our campaigns. We empowered them. We put them in charge. They were out there figuring stuff out. I'm not the person who was figuring out our media strategy. I was not the person who was out there, knocking on doors and talking to voters and creating events. It was 20 and 30-year-olds. And so what happened in our campaign and what you...
I mean, the true problem is this, right? It's you have the people like Hassan who are advocating against the Democratic Party, and the people that are advocating for the Democratic Party are people like Destiny. So it's like, it's hard. It's a hard fucking, it's an uphill battle the whole way. But we can do it.
Recently saw in Mondami's campaign in New York.
Yeah.
When there's that sense of joy and engagement and involvement, then people feel like, all right, this is not just some transactional grind. This is me becoming part of a community and joining with others. And I think young people respond to that. And then a corollary to that is I do think that culturally, and I've talked about this before, we did turn off. I think there was a certain way of talking about issues.
Dan, they're back to being 30 minutes late. It's because Dan's gone too. Dan's not there. He might be back. He's probably back now after the weekend and everything. You'd hope so. But that would make sense. Ethan's just sitting there. He's like, 1 second. He's just on his phone texting. Oh, 1 second. He's scrolling on Instagram.
For Democrats, where we sounded like scolds. And I've said this before. There was a virtue signaling that made it seem as if ordinary folks, if they did not say things in exactly the right way or meet this litmus test, that they were being chastised, pushed away. And the truth is, most of us, all of us, are complicated, and we have blind spots, and sometimes we say dumb stuff, and if you want to create an environment that is welcoming and makes people feel, okay, there's room for me here, then the message and the story we tell has to be, all right, none of us are perfect.
Yeah, it's to retain a level of humility, which people like Trump lack, and that's why it's so odd to see these people who are willing to keep him on this like pedestal that he puts himself on. You know, it doesn't make any sense to me, because yes, I feel like naturally we're opposed to like arrogant people. We love humility. We love people that are willing to laugh at themselves, are able to, see things again, like I was saying about Obama, people that are able to be graceful and speak like about others with grace and be able to like understand when they might not know everything and might not be the best to handle a situation, and are able to, you know, he didn't say the names, but at least he was able to say, hey, I wasn't the one doing the media stuff, you know, that I had a team that was helping me accomplish this. You think Kamala could win 2028? She had a disadvantaged campaign and was almost even with Trump, but I feel like the frustration and haterade may be too much. Not saying she's my fave, but stonks are high. Could she? I mean, we'll see. Honestly, I don't know. Like, she's a name now, right? So, if anything, she could make it. Purely just for like namesake alone, I gained Obama's acid reflux here.
All of us count. We all have good in us that we can.
I think that she has a chance, but I think we should also just look at all of the available candidates. You know what I mean? Really take a long, hard look, read all the policies, read everything, and then just start being like, have you guys heard of this fucking guy? Have you guys know this fucking, you guys know this lady? Hey, have you guys heard about, I'm trying to think of a good name. Rachel Smith from Iowa? Great lady, I don't know. Something like that. Something generic.
Then the message and the story we tell has to be, all right, none of us are perfect. All of us count. We all have good in us that we can tap into. We can all learn from each other. And I think that is something we need to recover. That's part of the fun of politics. That's part of the community and the social bonding that can come about. And we saw that in Minneapolis. I mean, somebody showed me
I wish Mark Kelly would run. He'd be perfect for this current environment. You know what's so funny? Mark Kelly, I've from what I've seen, I do like some of it, a lot of the stuff he's done, but it is funny because I'm in Arizona, and so I see so many, like, not anymore, but at the time there were so many like Mark Kelly hate campaigns. You know what I mean? Like all these campaign ads against him. Like so many. Beyond all that I saw that was even just like that were for his campaign. Like I didn't see hardly any for like any campaigns other than Mark Kelly and against Mark Kelly. That was it.
A friend of mine, Michelle Norris, is from Minnesota, and she was up there, and she was going around talking to neighbors and people she had known for a long time as they were mobilizing protests and activities around ICE. And she showed me a clip of this street band that was performing every night after all these activities had been taking place and protests, etc. And they were just out there and they were playing music, and I'm trying to figure out how they were playing, you know, horn.
You should be the Democrat nominee in 2028. I should be. I'll run. I'm not old enough yet. Yeah, the sad fact is there is no one the Dems can run that even come close to the cult of personality Trump has. They have no one exciting to run. Yeah, that's the big thing, is it's like you need like a new Obama style figure, or like this change of form almost, like come in of like this new type of politician. And not even like a new type of politician, but just a break away from what we've seen these past few elections. You'll be my VP, Alex. We got this. We're up next.
And drums, etc., in like 0 to.
See, I've thought about at some point I would maybe like to get into local politics a bit more, but I definitely see myself more as a vermin supreme than anything concrete. Vote for me. I'm vermin supreme. Y'all know vermin supreme? Terrible image I picked. I always pick the lowest resolution photo, I swear. Look at him go. Look at him go. Look at his giant toothbrush. Look at his boot on his head. He wants to give every American a pony. Don't you want a pony? Vote for Vermin Supreme. You mentioned Vermin Supreme like once a stream. That's not even true, Alex. I bring him up in politics every once in a while because he's an interesting figure, similar to what do they have in the UK? What's his name? Lord Buckethead, that's it. You guys ever heard of Lord Buckethead? Sorry, Alex, I'll bring up Lord Buckethead next time. Vote for Buckethead.
Degree weather, because I would not have been able to put my lips on on a trumpet, and people were celebrating.
Tell me about all the books you're reading again for the 5th time. Why are you so feisty today, Alex? What's the matter? Here, I'll show you all the newer books I'm reading are over there. Actually, I have this one. Marvel Superheroes Secret Wars. I'm only I think I'm only 4 issues in. This is the full 12-issue series. When I lived in Oregon, I was elected as the DNC delegate for my district. So everyone now and then in an argument, every now and then in an argument, I like to scream, I was an elected official. Hey, it's true.
What they had accomplished. And it was an embodiment of the values that make us care about other people. And that, I think, is a spirit that when Democrats tap into that spirit, then we win. The other side does the mean, angry,
demagoguery,
exclusive, us, them, divisive politics. That's their home court.
Yeah.
Our court is coming together. Our court is, look, a great example. Wasn't political.
I have the Spider-Man Black Suit issue of Secret Wars. Bought it on the stand because I knew it would be a big deal. Hey, hold on to that. They're coming to the Secret Wars arc. They're building up to the Secret Wars arc in the MCU. So it's coming. That's about to pay out millions.
Cool. Bad Bunny's halftime show.
I knew you were going to say that.
Look, our court is.
Sorry, let me get back into this.
Coming together. Our court is. Look, a great example. Wasn't political.
I'm still so confused why they casted Robert Downey Jr. as Dr. Doom in the MCU again. Then again, I've been checked out of the MCU for ages. Well, if you want to get into the comic lore of Doctor Doom, there is an instance in the comics, and I think this is spoiler alert. Spoiler alert for anybody that's into the MCU. Spoiler alert for anybody that's into Marvel. There is an instance in the comics where Doctor Doom switches minds with Tony Stark and basically inhabits the body of Tony Stark for a while. So I think that's what they're trying to work towards, is they're going to have it be Tony Stark, and they're totally going to have this instance of Doctor Doom, Tony Stark, Doctor Doom, and it's going to be Spider-Man, little Peter Parker. He's going to be like, Tony? And then chaos ensues. I'm telling you.
Bad Bunny's halftime show.
I knew you were going to say that. Yeah.
Well, it resonated. It was smart because it wasn't preaching. It was showing. It was demonstrating and displaying. This is what a community is. And people who did not speak Spanish and have never been to Puerto Rico, they saw that elderly woman serving a drink and the kids dancing with their grandmas, and it was intergenerational, and it was a reminder.
They go live. shout out. They just went live. I'm going to tell you guys, go check out the end of this interview on your own. Great stuff by Brian Tyler Cohen. I'm going to give him a subscribe. Give a subscribe to Barack Obama as well. I really do appreciate everybody for stopping in. Remember to like and subscribe if you haven't already. I do this every Monday, Wednesday, Friday. I also stream Monday through Friday. I just stream every day of the week, every weekday. There we go. But yes, I do appreciate everybody for stopping in. It has been a lot of fun. Here's a little something. This is Cap and Quasar signing off.